All right, so yeah, the criteria will be, just to establish criteria will be good player playing the killer who like mains them, right? Very comfortable with them mechanically. Maybe not like the absolute best killer player in the world, but like a very good, comfortable killer player controlling them. Survivors, very good survivors that like understand macro and are good in chase and understand the killer's power in terms of like all the little texts and macros and stuff. Like genuinely super high level play, right? There's really no point in making a tier list for low level play because at low level play, like technically if the survivors aren't like really good, every single killer is like A and S here. Like you can win, like again, people go on like 200 win streaks with every killer because matchmaking is kind of shit. And you know, realistically, it doesn't really matter unless you get good players, right? Like I think when you get good players is when the tier actually matters. So we're definitely doing high skill. And on top of that, we're definitely going to do best build. Yeah, like just best build in general, like best perks and best add-ons. I think that's the only way to do it in a fair way. Because, yeah, I think otherwise it's going to get real complicated. So, yeah, I think we have to do that. Trapper, I actually think Trapper, if we're counting best add-ons, which, again, I think that's why this complicates this a lot. I think Trapper with his best add-ons is honestly not as bad as you might think. Like, being able to, like, get free injuries with, like, disarms and also, like, having your traps reset can be pretty good. That being said, you're still kind of like an M1 killer, and I feel like if survivors are like decently organized and keeping track of where you're trapping, and as long as they don't like fumble and go down to like basement hook, you still should probably lose. But I don't think he's like the worst. I'll say this much. I'll probably still, yeah, actually, I'll probably still putting him in D. I was trying to justify putting him in C, but realistically, I still think he's D tier even with his best add-ons. I just think he's not the worst. I think as the tier list is going to go on, he's definitely not the worst. Like, again, the problem with Trapper is that the survivors can kind of like follow you around, disarm your traps as you set them, and then you're not really, you kind of have no power, right? You have to chase them so they don't disarm your traps. But if they saw everything that you trapped, then they can kind of just avoid those and go other places. And even if you're like setting a bunch of traps as you go, if another survivor comes in and disarms them, you're still like, it's too easy for the survivors to like shut down your power. Even if you have injury traps and resetting traps, they still can just remember what's trapped and be careful around it, right? Like you can get a couple like cheesy downs here and there if a trap resets itself and they don't realize it. But for the most part, your pure M1 chase, which against really, really good survivors is not very good. Like, it's just not super great. It's not super viable. And that's going to be a big reason why a lot of the killers that are low on the tier list are low. Also, obviously, the fact that he's a setup killer, right? Like, you have a rough early game because you have to set up, which is also not good. Like, DbD is, like, kind of a time... it's like a time management game in a way. So, yeah, I mean, being slow early game definitely hurts him a lot, too. He's D tier for sure. Wraith is... I think one of the most underrated killers in the game. That being said, he's still going in B tier, right? He's not this underrated that he like belongs in A, but Wraith is actually like quite good. Like we were talking about this earlier, but Wraith doesn't really have very many weak maps. Like even his weakest maps still kind of have benefits, right? Like his weakest maps are probably what, like Gideon Meat Plant, which because it has a lot of safe palettes, but you can kind of like utilize your stealth there. Same thing with like Bad in Preschool, like that's a pretty hard map, but again, even that map, your stealth kind of helps a little bit with like all the buildings and like LOS proccers. He's honestly quite good. Also, Wraith has like a very, very high skill ceiling in terms of like the things you can learn to do with them and how well you can outplay people. And I think if Wraith gets ahead, like if a really good Wraith player gets ahead, it can be really hard to come back. Like you definitely can't make too many mistakes against them without like feeling it really, really hard. So not quite like good enough that I'm going to say A tier, right? A tier I think is like going to be for people that realistically can get ahead more reliably. Like I feel like you definitely still need to make mistakes though. Like if the survivors are playing really clean, Wraith still should lose and should struggle ideally, even with all the little things you have at your disposal. So I think like B tier is fine. Like not weak, but definitely not insanely strong. Billy is, I think I can confidently put him in S tier. Yeah, Billy is pretty fucking nuts. Like, of course, like super highly mobile. Like probably one of the most mobile killers in the game in terms of like not really having like a cooldown on his power in terms of mobility. He also, like the thing about Billy is weird because like, okay, the other killers that are going to be S tier are probably obvious if you know anything about DbD, right? It's going to be Nurse and Blight. The thing that makes Nurse and Blight so S tier is the fact that they like consistently can like make situations where they will get a hit on you, right? Like it's not even like oh, I have a pretty good chance. It's like they will hit you, right? Like they will create scenarios where you get hit no matter what if you're actually good at those killers. Billy can create those scenarios sometimes, but it's like way less common. But Billy can create situations where you're like, I don't know, maybe you have like a 60 or a 70% chance to get the hit. But if you get the hit, it's a literal one-shot down. And like, that's kind of nuts. like if you can create a couple of those scenarios back to back and get multiple one-shot downs like super quickly, that can snowball a game like instantly. Like if that happens at like like Billy is like probably the most explosive killer this game has ever seen, like by miles. Like I would say even more so than Oni. I feel like Oni is probably the one people think of when they think of like snowballing explosiveness. I mean, Oni is really good at that too, but like Billy, there's not even like you can't wait out his power or anything like you can Oni. Like there's no like, he doesn't leave power ever. Like he has like his powered up blue version, but even when he's not in blue version, he can still be pretty deadly, especially if you have engravings. Like he's always at least somewhat of a threat. And like, it's just crazy how quickly he can snowball. It's just, again, he's probably going to be weaker than the other S tiers because it's just not consistent is the problem, right? Like even against good players, you can explode and have a crazy big game and like have a crazy like strong result. But also if you happen to like lose those situations where you have like a 60-70% advantage, if you lose those situations, especially if you lose a bunch of them back to back to back, suddenly all the gens are done and then, you know, what are you going to do? You know, you're fucked. So it's just not, if he was a little bit more consistent, he would probably be like the best killer in the entire game. Just not consistent enough, so I think he's just bottom of S, which I still think is really fucking good, though. I mean, he's probably third best killer in the game. Speaking of which, Nurse goes above him. Nurse is, I think, probably the biggest misconception about Nurse is that I think a lot of people seem to think Nurse has, like, really good mobility. She has really good mobility on multi-level maps, right? Like on, like, Midwich or Gideon Meat Plane or something. Her mobility is absolutely absurd. And she has, like, situational mobility, right? Like, she can blink like upstairs of a building or something quickly, like without having to like go through the stairs or whatever. But like generally speaking, in like a straight line, like for instance, if you're on like one side of Azrael's resting place and you're trying to get to the other side, blinking from one side of the map to the other in like a straight line, you actually go slower than like a trapper walking. Like a normal 4.6 killer walking literally gets there faster than you. So obviously it's like gets a little bit more complicated when you talk about like not having to path around solid walls and stuff. Like obviously her mobility is probably slightly above average for the most part, but it's really not as good as some people make it out to be. Like, that's kind of her one weakness. But obviously, her upside is that she can just absolutely hit people, like, consistently no matter what. Like, if a good nurse is within, like, 10 meters of you and they have both their blinks up, you're getting hit. Like, there's no, like... Again, it's... Like, there's a lot of killers on this list, and we're going to talk about this a lot throughout the tier list. There's a lot of killers where it's, like... You create a situation where you have like a, you know, roughly like 70-ish% chance to get a hit, or maybe like a 50% chance to get a hit, or, you know, whatever. Like, it's all about creating these situations where you have a high chance of getting damage, but maybe the survivor can juke it or whatever. Nurse is 100%. Like, she creates scenarios where it is 100%. Like, there's nothing the survivor that can do that will make you not get the hit. I mean, that being said, that really is only a scenario when she's, like, really close to you. Like, for instance, if she's, like, 24 meters away or something, like, if she's technically in range of blink, but it's, like, max range, there is a little bit of juking you can do, but a smart nurse will blink close to you, fatigue, and then just get you with the next set, right? Like, at best against a good nurse, you can buy, like, 10, 15 more seconds maximum, and then she's still getting the hit. So, like... The fact that, like, she's so consistent at that. There's no, like, if you're going against a genuinely good nurse, there is, like, no possible way to just, like, win some 50-50s and take her on, like, a minute and a half chase. Almost every other killer in the game, actually, I think every single other killer in the game, right? I'm pretty sure I can say every single other killer in the game, it's at least possible to, like, have a good chase. Even like Blight, even Billy, even like Henry, even every killer, it's possible to do something like that to like extend their damage. Nurse is the only killer where you guaranteed can get that damage and there's nothing the survivors can do about it, really. And it's just that makes her just solidified always S tier. It's impossible to move her out of this tier ever because that's just such an insane tool to have. That being said, she does still struggle on like really big maps, right? Like if you play a really huge map and the survivors do a really good job of like pre-stealthing and playing really smart, like sneaking unhooks, you know, like where you can't see them, and also like pre-running off gens and all this stuff, like she can struggle. Like even a really good nurse will still lose to really, really good survivors when they're on like a good map and a good setting or whatever. It's just very map dependent. Like for instance, a good nurse on like Midwich should just kill everyone always. Like there should be no chance for anything because it's insane. Like her mobility downside just gets completely nullified there. So I mean, I think I've said enough about nurse. Everyone already knows she's insane, but you know, obviously, yeah, she's S tier. New Myers is interesting because now what? He's a dash killer, right? They gave him a dash. He's kind of hard to judge. Like, he's still kind of slow, right? Like, I do feel like any killer that has to, like, take all this time to like set up their power, right? Like the fact that he has to follow you around, like staring at you, even if you get the stock kind of quick, like even a pretty fast stock is still like 10 seconds or something, right? Which I know doesn't seem like a lot, but realistically, like 10 seconds of like three different survivors doing gens is a lot of gen progress. And if you're having to do that multiple times throughout a game just to get your power, it kind of adds up and makes you like less time efficient at actually getting the kills. And that being said, when you're in tier 3, you don't really get like guaranteed downs, right? Like you can kind of chew through pallets if the survivors are throwing every pallet, and they also can greed some pallets and kind of like play risky 50s, even though that's, you know, obviously pretty risky to do. And also, again, I think the fact that he gets kicked in and out of power and has to like get his power back kind of stops him from being able to like massively snowball against good teams, right? The good teams that play smart, you know what I mean? Obviously when people are fucking up, you know, whatever, but good teams that play smart are going to be really hard to snowball against because of the fact that you get kicked in and out of power so much. He doesn't really have any add-ons that are like massively game-changing against good players. I mean, he has some pretty good ones, but it's nothing too crazy. I feel like I might catch some slack for this. I don't know. Maybe I won't. Maybe people will just agree. Whoa, what just happened to him? I think I'm going to put him in C tier. Like, I think he's like high C tier. I don't think he's like that crazy. I don't think he's like super good. He's like, he just shreds pallets sometimes. And if you can survive his pallet shred, he's kind of ass. Like, for instance, if a Myers gets his tier 3 and you run him for his whole tier 3, he just loses. He just loses the game. Like straight up. Like, if you take the time to stalk someone, pop power, chase them for like the entire 60 seconds while they throw every pallet, and then you don't get the kill, then 3 gens are done and you're out of power. You just lose. And it's not really unrealistic for that to happen, like at all. So yeah, I don't really think Myers is that good. I think he's like okay. I could maybe see B tier. Like I could, like maybe by the end of this list, I might move him up to B tier. I need to put more killers in to C. It's possible I might move him up to B, but he's either high C or low B is where he is to me. Like there's no world where he breaks into like A tier for sure. But we'll see. I could adjust him later. We'll see. Hag is probably the worst killer in the game. I think we could just safely say this. I think if we're going to assume that the survivors are smart, I think Hag is worst killer in the game. I will say the one thing... Okay, let me just explain why, just in case people aren't familiar. Hag is probably the only killer in this game that I think is fully... I guess not completely fully, but the most reliant on survivors making mistakes in order to get value, right? Like, she's 4.4, so she's, or 110, or however you want to word it. So she's slower in terms of her movement speed. So if she tries to just straight up chase people, then it doesn't really work very well because she's slow and they can easily loop her. And then her traps, obviously, if you try to like set traps mid-loop, then they'll just walk away from the loop, so it doesn't really do anything. So you kind of just have to set up a bunch of traps in like an area and like protect that area and try to like bait the survivors into like stepping on a trap at a bad time, killing them, and then like hooking them in the trap setup, and then hoping that people die trying to go for the unhook, and blah 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 blah. Like you're kind of like relying fully on mistakes, and like that's not good when the survivors know what they're doing. It's really, and also for the record, there's gonna be a lot of other killers in this list that kind of like maybe don't rely on mistakes, but like are able to bait survivor mistakes, right? And that's like a part of what makes them strong. The thing about Hag and like making mistakes against Hag is that it's pretty easy to not like if you like have a pretty general basic knowledge of like macro and like 3-genning and, you know, not going into the, you know, into her web of traps while you're injured and making sure you heal up before you do it. And like if you have a pretty basic knowledge of how to counterplay her, it's not even like hard to counterplay her. Like it's not like making mistakes against her is something that could happen to anybody. Oh no, it could happen. You never know. Even the best players will make these mistakes. Like no, it's really, really easy to not make those mistakes. Like good players will just run circles around Hag, and there's not really much you can do, with the exception of 2 add-ons, right? First off, Mint Rag. The Mint Rag add-on where you're able to like manually teleport to traps. If you're really, really good at Hag and you do some really crazy shit with that, I've seen some Hag players that like do really interesting things with that add-on, and you could like, because that kind of makes it less reliant on them stepping on the traps, and more so like you can set up potential like manual teleports for you to use later, and then like push them towards them, and like you like there's interesting things you can do with Mint Rag that could make you a little bit more viable. But even then, you're still like 4.4. You have to have a setup, and you have to like really hope that your traps pay off, because if they don't, you're going to lose all your gens really quickly. I still think she's like miles below everyone else, even with Mint Rag. And then the other add-on is like the one that makes her chase Hag, right? Like Chag or whatever. The one that makes you like 117.5% or whatever. And like that's kind of good, right? Like you're like a permanent, slightly faster M1 killer, but still you're just an M1 killer. Like anyone that knows what they're doing against M1 chase is still going to just shit on you. So even Chag is not good. Like you're just going to, again, like That's exactly why Trapper's down here in D tier, because any killer that's relying on basic, like, normal chase, even if she has slightly more speed, it's just not strong. It's just not strong enough to actually deal with good players. So no matter what, like, no matter what strategy you use, she's always D tier. She's just sometimes a little bit better than other times, but she's always D tier no matter what. Doctor is quite bad. I need to think about where I put him. There's like, I feel like I guess I need to think about what makes the difference between D and C tier. Because he's definitely D or C tier. It's one or the other, right? I'm pretty sure I'm going to put him in C tier. And the reasoning is, like, okay, what makes Doctor kind of bad is that he has, like, this anti-loop where he, like, shocks you and stops you from throwing pallets or vaulting windows. And you can kind of, like, for instance, if someone's looping a pallet, like, at a real basic level, if someone's looping a pallet, you can shock them every time before they make it to the pallet. And then you gain a little bit of distance every time you do a loop. So after, like, maybe 2 or 3 shocks, you'll be close enough that you can get a hit, and then you get a hit, right? And, like, you can get, like, semi-reliable damage with them if you're really good at them. But the problem is that the damage takes so long, right? Like, you sometimes have to shock, like 5-6 times before you even get an opportunity to get a hit. And even then, it's like an opportunity where they can still do something about it. So it's just hard to reliably get hits in a way that is, like, really, really fast. You know what I mean? And it's just not really that reasonable to do. And your chases are just going to be way too long. It's kind of the problem. That being said, the reason why I think he's in C tier is because if the survivors do fuck around a little too much and kind of let you get, like, a couple hooks or downs or, like, a lead, he has probably, like, the best info power in the entire game, right? I guess maybe I'm not 100% sure on that. I think I have to look through all the killers, but I think he has one of, if not the best information powers in the whole game. I think he does, yeah. Like the whole static blast, being able to, like, make people scream. If you guys don't already know this, when people are tier 2 or higher, they get, like, the little doctor illusions that pop up in front of them, and they will always face the direction of the survivor and be, like, a certain distance away. I think it's like 4 meters. So, like, there's a lot of info that, like, just tells you where people are. And again, if you're a good killer player that knows what to do with that info, it's pretty nuts. Like, if you get ahead and you have all that info, it can be really hard to come back if the killer knows what he's doing. The problem is that you just shouldn't really be able to get ahead ever, is kind of the problem, right? Like, I feel like a lot of, like, the D tiers and C tier killers are, like, it's like, even if they get ahead, you probably still are fine. Doctor is definitely the killer where, like, if he gets ahead, you're, like, a little bit more in trouble. It just should be really, really hard to get there, right? So I still feel like you could even justify putting him in D tier, man. I don't know. It's close, but I think I'll say C tier. Because I do think you could definitely create some interesting scenarios where you can, like, you know, maybe win some 50s and get downs fast and go from there. So yeah, I think C tier is fine. Yeah. Huntress. Now this might be a hot take. I think I would put Huntress in B tier for sure. Well, I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I don't ever know what to say about Huntress, because I feel like some people think Huntress is, like, way stronger than she is, and then some people think she's way weaker than she is. And I don't know. Like, I've seen a lot of people put her in, like, low C, but I've also seen people put her in, like, A, and I'm like, whoa. I think she's, like, B tier. Like, I think against good players, like, you can pretty reliably get downs at some, like, okay, her weakness is that on a lot of maps especially, it can be really hard to get the downs because of all, like, the like, strong resources that survivors have. But you definitely are able to create a lot of scenarios where you have, like, okay, like, earlier I was talking about how, you know, Nurse creates these, like, 100 to 0 scenarios where she always gets the hit, and, like, Billy will create scenarios where it's like a, you know, maybe like a 60-40 in his favor where he can get the hit but sometimes doesn't or whatever. Huntress will create a lot of scenarios that are, like, 20-80 or something. I don't know what the proper ratio to use here is, but, like, it's like she doesn't have a super high chance to get the hit, but there is a chance. And, like, if you happen to get, like, 1 or 2 of those to work, especially early on, and you get, like, a down early on, she is so devastating at, like, area control. Like, her area control is absurd, bro. Like hook camping with her is nuts. Like, you cannot unhook anywhere near a Huntress that's near a hook, right? Like, if she's protecting the hook at all, you have to just, like, let that person go and not even bother. And even if it's not, like, hook camping, right? If you're, like say you have someone, like, in basement or, like, tucked in a corner and there's, like, a hill near it, if you could just stand on the hill and, like, hold a hatchet, you're, like, you have such a big area of, like, threatening that you can control. Like, she's definitely the kind of killer where if she gets to, like, kind of a like, leading spot, it can be nightmarish to kind of come out of it. It's just that the main downside of her is that getting to that ahead spot is really difficult. So she's hard to, that's why she's hard to tier. I feel like if a Huntress has, like, a strong early game and she kind of gets ahead, she feels like A tier, and you're like, God damn, bro, it's so hard to do anything. But, like, if a Huntress doesn't have that, like, again, because you kind of have to take these like chance shots, right? You have to take these shots that have like a low chance of landing, and if they don't land, you know, back to back to back, and you have to reload, and then you have to, you know, keep going. Like sometimes like 3 gens will pop before she even gets her first down, and then she feels like she's C tier because you're like, okay, she just doesn't get downs fast enough. So it's just so like, she's not like consistent enough for me to put her in A tier, but I feel like she's not like. She does kind of have a big like snowball and also area control potential that I don't really feel like I could justify putting her in C tier either. Like I feel like when a Huntress gets ahead, the things that she can do to me doesn't feel like something I would say a C tier killer should be able to do. You know what I mean? Like I just can't in my right mind put her that low. I feel like she has to be in B. She's like, honestly, I think Huntress is like one of the scariest killers I go against whenever I'm doing survivor win streaks, because again, like you have a rough early game against her where she like gets it down quickly and then camps that hook. There's so little options to do against that. Like it makes it so difficult, man. Like you really, really have to have like reliable chases against her, or she could just start snowballing like crazy. So yeah, like I think mid B is probably the place to go for her. I'm honestly a really fun killer too, obviously. Like I do like another big disconnect here that people might not realize is that I do think like, again, when survivors don't play, I think Huntress is maybe one of the biggest killers in terms of like the difference of how good she looks when survivors aren't that good versus how good she performs when survivors are actually good, right? Like Hag is kind of like that too. But like, for instance, if you go watch Huntress main streamers that are playing against survivors that aren't really like that good, she'll look like S tier, right? Just like sniping people from like across the map. Like you'll see people like, who was the Squirrel Surgeon that used to like throw an orbital and then throw a cross map, and they would both land at the exact same time on a survivor. Like crazy stuff where you'd be like, wow, this killer is absurd. But like realistically, that kind of stuff only works against players that are not that great. And once you get really, really good players, it becomes much more like difficult. And yeah, so I don't know. I'm ranting too much. Point is, she's definitely mid B tier. Bubba's up next. Bubba is again probably just somewhere in like C tier. I mean, we talked about him a little bit earlier off, like, you know, like, I mean, I think I'm gonna turn this into a YouTube video. So off video, we talked about him a little bit earlier. I think he can be a little bit underrated sometimes. Like, I think sometimes people underrate him a little too much. Sometimes people put him in like D tier or like whatever. I do think he's like the thing about Bubba is that you absolutely like shred pallets, bro. Like if you're playing Bubba well, you're like, and you're like playing pallets really carefully. Like the survivors are probably trying to play for a stun, but if you like make sure not to get stunned and then bait them into throwing the pallet, you can just like eat through pallets. And like the survivors kind of have to like get into this loop where they're just sacrificing pallets to you over and over again, especially if you have bamboozle too, which most people are going to run. And eventually you can like zone people into an area where you guarantee kill them. He's kind of like, I feel like he's like the weaker version of Huntress to me almost, where like, I think it's easier to stay alive against Bubba than Huntress, right? Like, I think you can kind of just path correctly and feed pallets to him, and you can guarantee to have, like, a pretty long chase. But, like, he will eventually kill you, and there's not really much you can do about it. And then when he kills you, he could just camp you, too, right? Like, he has good area control. It's less than Huntress. Like less good area control than Huntress, but, like, still pretty good area control to the point where, like, it can be really complicated to, like, unhook against him or hard or sometimes just not even possible. It's just that still, like... And again, and then also after that chase where you throw every pallet, obviously the map it kind of becomes sketch then, because then your map has no pallets. So like every chase after that kind of gets a little bit scary. But again, the problem here is that it's not very hard for the survivors to just play safe and throw pallets. And if they just play safe and throw pallets, then by the time he even gets us down, like 3 gens are done, right? It's like the same problem with like so many of the other killers that are in this low tier. It's like they kind of just like take all this time to like set up and do things, and then even if it kind of ends up paying off, you just lose so many gens that you end up being so far behind that you can't really do anything anyway. You know what I mean? So it's just the same issue as all these other killers. I will say again, kind of like Huntress, if you like fuck around a little bit too much early game and like eat a chainsaw or something and get put in like basement, for instance, it can get a little hairy. And also like, if you guys watch any like Bubba players, like I know like Epi, for instance, is like a big Bubba creator. I'm sure you've seen like Bubba flicks that people can do and stuff, which are like kind of fancy and like fun, and you could definitely catch survivors off guard with that. But don't hate me, good survivors shouldn't be dying to flicks, like realistically speaking. Like flicks really shouldn't work against good players, because good players really won't greed pallets that are flickable, right? Like good players are going to know what pallets that they can get away with greeting and not dying to a flick, or what pallets kind of need to just be played safe and thrown. Realistically, you just can't. Like good players are just going to shut you down. There's really just no other way around it. So yeah, Bubba, unfortunately, like mid C tier. I will put him up. I put him above Doctor? I guess the question here is above or below Doctor. I think Myers is definitely better than Bubba, but like, I think I'm actually gonna put him below. I think I'm gonna put him below Doctor because I feel like if we're talking about like average consistency, I think Bubba consistently gets like okay. Bubba's more consistent. I think Bubba is going to do better than Doctor's lows, but I think Doctor's highs are going to be better than Bubba's highs, if that makes sense. I hope that I said that in a way that makes sense. So I think I'm going to put Doctor above just because I think he has more potential to pop off potentially, even though it won't happen super often. It can happen. I feel like Bubba against good players should never be able to like truly pop off because he just doesn't really have the snowball potential, right? Like even if he gets ahead, it's like at worst you have to like sacrifice a guy and be like, oh, sorry, we can't save you at all because he's camping you. And that's like, at worst, that's usually what it is. There's really nothing more than that. So, yeah, like low C tier, below Doctor, I think. Yeah, not super great. Freddy's up next. Freddy, okay, this is where it gets confusing because, like, I got to figure out whether I'm doing an A+ tier and an A- tier or whether I'm just going to put Freddy in B tier. This is hard. So, this is a big thing I've been struggling with making tier lists is I feel like the killers that I'm going to put in A tier feel like they are definitely stronger than Freddy, for instance, right? But I think Freddy is stronger than the killers in B tier to the point where I think he deserves to be in a tier above them, right? I think I need to make... Okay, I'll put him in A tier for now, but there's a pretty good chance that I'm going to make like a lower A tier, like an A+ tier and an A- tier. Like if there was an A- tier, he would go in the A- tier. But Freddy honestly fucks right now. Like, he honestly is quite good. Like, again, his, like, snares are pretty much, like, they're kind of like old clown-esque, I guess, where you, like, slow people down in a loop, and they have to be really careful how they play it. You could also, like, play pre-thrown pallets, too, though, by slowing people down and making the 50s easier to play. And the fake pallets are actually pretty devastating, especially depending on the map, right? There's a lot of maps that Freddy can get where his fake pallets are disgusting, bro. Like, going against, like, a Freddy on, like, Hawkins or something is a nightmare, dude. God, it's a nightmare. Like, that... get a nightmare. I didn't even mean to make that pun. But anyway, it sucks. That's what I'm trying to say. It sucks, okay? It's not fun. You get absolutely shit on. A good Freddy... Again, the thing about Freddy 2 is I think a lot of people maybe don't realize how good he is because from my experience playing Survivor... I swear, like 99% of Freddys, they don't even like use. I swear the majority of Freddys I play against don't even use dream pallets. Like they just use snares, and they won't even use dream pallets. But a good Freddy that like is weaving in and out, like hitting you with a snare, going back to pallet, setting pallet, detonating it, going back to snare, all while like pathing really well and playing M1 chase really well, is so hard to live against, bro. Like there's so many little things he has that can make you fuck up and like get him hits. And also, again, he has one of those kits where he can take a lead and really run with it, right? Ever since when they updated them all those years ago or whatever, they added that thing where, like, for instance, if you're injured and you're trying to heal, you have to wake up first because if you're asleep and healing, he like can teleport to you and see exactly where you are. So there's kind of like this little slowdown mechanic of you having to go wake yourself up all the time, and like. It can be like if you can get ahead, it kind of gets a bit complicated to come back because of how complicated, for instance, like healing is and like staying away is. Also, on top of his mobility of being able to teleport around, he has quite a bit in his kit, honestly. Again, he should lose if survivors play really safe early game, and as long as they like stop his first down from coming in quickly, he should still lose. But he's definitely the kind of killer where like. Again, you can create like at least like 30, 70 scenarios where like you have at least a little bit of a chance to get hits, and if you happen to win those and get it down early, he can do some pretty crazy stuff even against good players. Like honestly, like it's a lot of people underestimate how much he can do with all the new stuff he has in his kit. I think again. Right now, I think it looks weird because he's like right below Nurse Billy. Like it looks bizarre to be like Nurse Billy Freddy, right? Like he's miles weaker than these two. Okay, for the record, and like that's definitely a thing. Like he'll be at like the bottom of A tier, if not in a whole tier below. But he is, I think, better than Wraith and Huntress by like a decent enough margin that I think I can put him. I think he's actually kind of close to Wraith. We could maybe just put him high B for now. I'm gonna keep him an A for now, but we'll see. Anyway, sorry, let's continue. Pig. Pig's buffs recently. I keep saying recently, but I feel like the buffs were a while back. I can't really remember. But either way, Pig's dash ability is actually like pretty deadly now. Like they buffed it a while back, and it's actually pretty deadly. You can outplay a lot of tiles with it. And obviously, she has like the best in-game slowdown in the whole game. Like she has the best built-in slowdown out of any killer with the with the reverse bear traps, right? Like the fact that you get like, assuming you get all 4 bear traps on, you get 12 searches guaranteed, which is a big chunk of time that they have to do or else they die. Like you almost get like an extra gen or 2 from her in terms of like time they have to spend on things, which is very, very useful. Like very, very useful. And again, a lot of palettes are like more easy to play with her. I will say, she can be a bit map dependent in terms of like some maps are definitely much better against her than others in terms of like the palettes being playable. But honestly, she's really not bad now. She actually has quite a bit to her kit to the point where this might be a crazy take. People might crucify me for this one, bro. But I'm doing it. I'm putting her in low B tier. I think that's where she belongs. Like I think a lot of people put her like low C. I think she's B tier, bro. Like, I think Pig honestly does fuck now. Like, I think she's honestly quite... Like, a good Pig player who's really good at utilizing her kit in a good way is tough, bro. It's tough. And again, all that extra time, too, with the bear traps and everything as well, like, it's so difficult, bro. Like, she can actually, like, shit on people now. It's a little scary. So, yeah, B tier. I think I'm pretty... Yeah, I don't think there's really much more to say about that. Again, I guess the other side of the coin, I guess I'll say before I move on, is just that... Still, though, if she doesn't, like, win... Like, if she doesn't win these, like, you know, 50-50 type scenarios against you, and if you can, like, have a good chase with her, just like a lot of these other killers, like Freddy, like Wraith, if you can't have a good chase with her, and you get, like, really far ahead early, she's still kind of ass. So, again, like every other killer that's, like, mid or, like, mid-low, that's still a possibility. So, it's kind of hard to put her high up, because, like, again, you're kind of relying on, like, winning some very difficult 50-50s in order to actually get ahead. But if you do, very, very good. Anyway, I'm going to move on. Clown is... Also, I think one of the most underrated killers in this game. I swear I've been seeing tier lists made by people lately. I mean, to be fair, me seeing tier lists is me just like opening Twitter on my phone while I'm pooping and randomly just like seeing some random tier list that some guy that I don't even know, like some guy I don't even know made, you know? So like when I say people's tier lists, I don't even know who the hell I'm really even talking about, honestly. But I've seen some random tier lists where this killer is like in like C tier or even like low B tier. And like bro, this killer is like fucking nuts now. Clown is disgusting, bro. He is disgusting. Like, this dude, like, you just spike the ground and you get permanent, like what? It's like 14, what is it, base kit? Like 12 or something, and it can go up to like 14, 15, 16, 17 or something. Like, insane amounts of haste just for free, always. On top of the fact that I think they rebuffed his purple bottles recently to actually give even more slowdown than they used to or whatever. So, like, his purple bottles are actually kind of viable now, too. So, like, being able to spike the ground and get 17% haste, like, near permanently, and then also being able to hit survivors with, like, the purple guys that slows them down, too, and also forces medium vaults is fucking absurd. Like, this killer, like, again, this is one of those killers where I think this boils down to, like, how good is, like, the normal M1 play of the killer player. This is something that I think a lot of people don't realize, and this is something that I think have been realizing more and more lately myself, is that there is actually a ton of skill to how you play M1 chase, right? Like, a bad M1 chase killer on a killer like Clown who, like, doesn't really know how to utilize the haste in a way that's, like, actually beneficial versus someone like... I don't know, obviously the obvious example to use would be someone like Pedro from Invictus, who's like the #1 1v1 player in the world. Like, who is gonna, like, he's probably like one of the best, if not the best, like, M1 players in the world. Like, someone like him on a killer like Clown is like, dude, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. You have to play these, like, you basically, as a survivor, you get put in these positions where you have like again, I've been mentioning these ratios for every killer, but genuinely against a good Clown, you play like 20/80s. Like, you're playing scenarios where you have like a 20% chance of not getting hit. You have to just like try some shit and pray that it works. But like, good Clowns are gonna fuck you up, bro. It's so hard to stay alive. Like, you can use like there's like a few pallets that are safe, right? Like, you can use like Shack pallet or like, you know, stuff like that. Even like Jungle Gym pallets are like kind of dangerous. Like, they're safer than others, but they're like, even those are kind of dangerous. And then like any filler pallet, have fun. Like, you're probably just dead. Like, there's like a few pallets on every map that are guaranteed safety, and once he breaks those, everything else is like a very high chance of him getting a hit. On top of the fact that, like, he can even get around the map pretty quickly now too, right? I mean, like, even getting from point A to point B is not that bad when you have like 17% haste. You know what I mean? So he kind of like, he doesn't really have very many big downsides. Like, I guess the only really downside is, like, if you sacrifice every god palette and just slam gens, you can hopefully ideally get to a spot where, like, even though he's killing people, you can kind of get the gens done before he kills everybody. But, like, no matter what, a good clown is gonna get some hits and downs and hooks on you no matter. There's no way to stop it, bro. A good clown is gonna fuck you up, at least a little bit. Like, I really think clown is severely underrated right now. Or maybe not. Maybe people know he's good. But I think he's A tier, and honestly, I don't think he's even that low in A tier. Like, he might, like, his end placement here might actually be interesting, depending on the other killers I put in A tier. He is very good right now. He is goddamn terrifying, bro. And again, he doesn't even have that many bad maps. Again, I think like maybe Gideon Meat Plant's probably his worst map because of all the God palettes. Like that's probably his worst map, and that one is pretty rough on him. Other than Gideon Meat Plant, like what map do you get against Clown that you feel good about? I generally don't know. I feel like he just like it's a he's just a nightmare to go against. Like I don't know. Like every map it's crazy. So yeah, Clown, very, very good, man. Like top of A tier. This killer is really scary right now. Again, I think the one like kind of thing that makes him a little bit more bearable is, again, most killer players. I think DbD kind of has this thing where like most killer players don't really push themselves to get super good because they don't really have to. Like if you're a really good survivor and you find a random clown in your matches, usually you can still win some 50s and survive, right? Like again, if you watch like streamers play against clown, you might be like, whoa, he doesn't seem that good. But I'm telling you, man, in the hands of a good clown, like again, if we're specifically talking about a good clown player, which is not super common, insanely strong, like super good, this killer. And moving right along, we have another A tier killer. I mean, this is Spirit. I think this is pretty obvious. Spirit's like high A tier. This killer is again, I'm gonna classify multiple killers this way, so I guess I'll just get this out of the way with the first one. Spirit's like discount Nurse. She's like the Walmart version of Nurse. And the reason I say that, and there's gonna be a lot more killers on this list that I say the same thing about. There's kind of like this archetype of killer that exists that's like slow but extremely deadly, right? Like not very mobile, but super deadly once they get close to you. And they kind of excel at like tunneling, like controlling like the hook and trying to like make plays based off like unhooks and rotations. They basically try to play around taking advantage of the survivors having to come to them for unhooks, as opposed to like killers like Blight who can rush out and do whatever the fuck he wants because he's so fast it doesn't really matter, right? Like it's a very interesting like archetype of killer that like Nurse and Spirit both fall into. And Spirit is very similar to Nurse in the way that the games go. It's just that she's a little bit less reliable, right? Again, like I said this about Nurse. Nurse can create literal 100-0 scenarios where she will hit you. Like there is no way to stop her from hitting you. She will get the hit on you, right? Like 100%. Whereas with Spirit, it's a little bit like less 100%. It's more like, I mean, you could probably create scenarios that are like 80-90%, right? It's like still really high, but there's technically the survivors can do something and stay alive, right? There's like, it's not as reliable. And even if you do win every single 80-20, it's still like a little bit slower than Nurse. Like Nurse just like blink, blink, you're hit, right? You get a little bit of distance, she blinks, she maybe one blinks, fatigues, blink, blink, you're hit. Like it's that sequence. Double blink, hit, blink, fatigue, double blink, hit, like bam. It's like 30 seconds every time. Spirit's like, while the survivors are healthy, they have a little bit more play. They can maybe play a couple pallets before they get hit. And then once they get hit, they're kind of fucked, but they can maybe still do like a couple little things. It's like the whole sequence, instead of taking 30 seconds, might take like 45, which it might not seem that crazy, just 15 more seconds. But you got to think every chase adding 15 more seconds adds up a ton in a game like DbD where it's all about time management. So it's like the same concept as Nurse, but just a little bit weaker, to the point where like if the survivors play really safe and have good macro, and like if they take chases to the right areas and they do the right gens and pressure the right things at the right moments, Spirit realistically should lose most of the time. But again, she's strong enough that like all it takes is like, I mean, killer. I mean, okay, like you're gonna find that I'm gonna say this about most killers like this. All it takes is like one slightly bad like rotation, right? Like someone like playing for an unhook and getting found near the hook and then going down within like 30 meters of the hook, and bam, like the game's almost over right then and there. Like it is not hard at all to throw against Spirit. Like even really good players, even really good teams of survivors, if they just make like one bad positional mistake, the game could just like instantly go down the drain. So that's why killers like this are so scary. It's just that lethalness they have to kill people really, really quickly can just really make things get out of control if the survivors aren't careful. And even if the survivors do play perfectly, I mean, you still should get a lot of hooks, right? You might not be able to 4K them consistently, but you should still get a lot of hooks, right? Like it's not like you're going to have a game where you get like 3 hooks and then they leave and you're like, okay, I did nothing at all. Like you should be able to at least do something. So yeah, I mean, she's definitely right under the S tier killers. Very, very strong. Very, very good. Anyway, moving on. Legion. Legion is... Okay, well, the thing about Legion is that Oh god. Oh god. Here we go. Fuck. See, there's so many killers on this list that I've been dreading getting to them because I know I'm gonna have to put them in a tier that people aren't gonna agree with. But like, and this is one of them. Okay. Luckily, I guess I did just make a YouTube video. Actually, like, I don't know when this tier list is gonna be uploaded, but as I'm recording this tier list video, I literally uploaded a video showcasing the build that I think makes this killer really, really good. And I think I clickbaited the video and called him A tier in the video. For the record, I think that was just clickbait for the record. Like, I don't think he's actually A tier. Like, that was purely clickbait. But I do think, I think most people put Legion like C tier, sometimes even D tier. I think with Eerie Button, if you run Iridescent Button and like Scratch Ruler, and if you like, and then just Bamboozle and Slow Down perks, right? Again, everyone runs End Fury and all those perks, whatever the fuck. You know, I'm not going to repeat everything I said. I'll link the video like below this video. And if you're watching live, go to my YouTube and you'll see it. It's like one of my most recent uploads. If you run like the right build with this guy, where you run Eerie Button, Bamboozle, and then Slowdowns, and you actually play smart around it, he is gross. He is gross, bro. He'll like shred he'll bam every window you run to. He'll shred every pallet, and then his cooldown is so fast and his mobility is so good on top of the free damage that it is not that hard to fuck up and give him hits. Like, you could absolutely wreck people's shit with Legion. I do think really, really good striver play, right? If we're talking like really excellent striver play, should still be able to stay alive against him and like struggle a little bit, but honestly, I know I'm gonna get hate for this, bro. I know I'm gonna get hate for this, but above Huntress, definitely. I think maybe below Wraith, but even again, Eerie Button. If I think of how good Eerie Button Bam is, bro, like I could maybe even justify above Wraith. I think I'm gonna keep him below Wraith, but definitely better than Huntress and Pig for sure to me. Like, actually very deadly, but this is only with just that one specific build. Like, I want to make it very clear. If Eerie Button didn't exist, like for instance, say tomorrow a patch comes out and they just like completely rework Eerie Button, it does something completely different that is, you know, not good. This killer instantly goes like here. Like, literally, it's that big of a difference. Like, so I want to make it clear that I know, other than this exact one thing, this killer is not that strong. But with that one thing, because again, you got to remember, like, I basically already explained that he becomes pretty lethal. You have to remember, this killer has so much other stuff in his kit, right? Like, if he's actually able to get downs semi-consistently, he also has completely free damage. He has free deep wounds to kind of slow the game down somewhat. He has information, right? Like, you can frenzy people, and you get killer instinct on all around you to get information on where people are, and kind of mobility if you just pop your power to like run across the map and stuff too. Kind of, like, not as much as others, but like he has so many other like little utility things about his kit, to the point where, like, if you're able to get downs quickly, bruh, it can get out of control fast. It can get out of control real fast, honestly. Like, I think a lot of people underestimate how good Legion can be with the right build. So yeah, that's all I'll say about that. I think he's B tier. And now this is where it gets to like another section that like I'm not happy with what I'm about to have to do, because Plague, I think Plague is one of the most overrated killers in the game. People have been putting Plague in like A tier, even like high A tier for like a long time now. And I do not think Plague is that good. I think Plague has been massively overrated for years and years and years now. But, however, we did say that we're talking about the best add-ons in every killer, right? Like, if we're going to put Legion in mid B tier because of Eerie Button, then we have to also put Plague in A tier, because her Eerie add-ons are probably she probably has some of the strongest add-ons in the entire game. Like, Eerie Seal is the Eerie add-on where you get your power when a gen pops or whatever, like for free. So like, you can be in the middle of chasing somebody and bam, you just get power for free. It's nuts. Incredibly strong. And also Black Incense is the other one where you just get free aura reading on people that are sick, and you know exactly where everyone is and what they're doing. Like, her Eerie's are disgustingly good. So I think, considering the fact that you're probably going to run one of, if not both of those add-ons, then I think I have to put her in A tier. It's just very, I mean, okay. I think, to my own credit, to put her a little bit lower, I do think, for instance, if the survivors are smart, they'll realize that she has Eerie Seal. And I think once they realize she has Eerie Seal, you can kind of like 99 the gens and just not pop them, right? Like, there is kind of like counterplay to it, right? But I mean, even then, she'll still get value one time at least, right? Like, you have to scout it. Like, there's no way for you to know for sure. So even if she gets value once, like, you can start 99ing gens, but even 99ing gens becomes weird, because then if she has pain res and all these things to regress them, then you can lose, you know, even 99ing gens becomes like a whole side quest at that point that you have to deal with. So like, that's hard. Black Incense doesn't really have any counterplay or any way to scout it unless you have distortion, I guess. So like, that's also very difficult too to deal with. I mean, it's not like those iridescent add-ons are just like instantly game over and the killer wins no matter what, but they increase her strength by a lot, like a lot, to the point where I think she has to be an A tier. That being said, I think if she doesn't have those iridescent add-ons, I would unironically put her like down here. Like, I think without those Eerie add-ons, I think people vastly overestimate how good like Plague without those add-ons is, and people still put her in like A tier. I think Plague without her Eerie add-ons is like mid B. So I just want to throw that out there, but considering the criteria that we're using for this tier list, she's A tier. I'm going to put her below Freddy. Well, no, I think I have to put her above Freddy, actually. Yeah, her add-ons are nuts, bro. Like a good Plague with like Eerie Seal. Yeah, like, bro, because she has that like if she's actually able to get her power semi-consistently, then like her area control, she kind of has that like Huntress-esque area control. Obviously not like quite as good as Huntress, but like close. I think she has to go above Freddy even in that tier if we're considering ultra rares, which is kind of crazy. All right, Ghostface is as much as I love my boy Ghostface, this might be a little bit of a weird thing to say. Also, I just realized I should move my camera. Sorry for the people skimming the video that are gonna have my camera move a different spot, I guess midway through. I guess I'm gonna put it over here now. Fun fact about Ghostface. Ghostface is probably one of my favorite killer designs in the whole game. I love that this killer actually is designed in a way where he genuinely actually uses his stealth in a way to be like extremely deadly. Like, I love the mechanic. This is like kind of a hot take. I know some people, well, I guess it's a hot take depending on who it is. I know some people hate this mechanic, but I love that you can like 99 people stalk without, and sometimes without them even knowing it, right? Like sometimes you can like stalk someone, they don't even know you're stalking them, and you take them the whole way to 99 and then just leave them for later, right? And they have no idea. And then you can sneak up on them, instant pop stock, bam, they're dead. Like, it's such a cool way of like making it so that you genuinely are able to utilize your stealth in a way that's super deadly. Like, if you've ever watched good Ghostface players like play, like especially in like competitive and stuff, it's so cool, dude. Like the way they like path uniquely to try to come from weird angles and like just genuinely utilizing your stealth in like powerful ways is so fun and interesting. However, the downside here is obviously, so first off, on open maps, especially, I mean, on indoor maps, you can kind of do this, but it's harder. Definitely on open maps, it's much easier. On open maps, survivors can kind of do the thing where they like just follow him around, you know? Like if you have a teammate following you, following Ghostface around and either A, breaking him out, or B, like letting you know where he is. And like, it's kind of hard to actually force out stealth plays depending, right? Even then, like you can still stalk the guy that's following you around. Like you can try to like counter it somewhat, but it definitely like takes away some of your agency in terms of all the different things you can do. And then also, at the end of the day, this killer has no anti-loop whatsoever, right? Like, other than like stalking someone and making them one shot down and then instantly downing them, other than that, there's really no, like, the only way to kill people is to run them down as a normal chase killer, right? Like, if you don't sneak up and get a free hit, then it's just normal chase. Like, for instance, if you pop someone's stock and then they like sprint burst away and make it to a pallet, congratulations. You now have to play a normal M1 chase and try to get the down before the stock runs out, which again, against good players is insanely difficult. So I think he just gets countered way too hard by exhaustions. He gets countered way too hard by like survivors following him around. He has no anti-loop at all. Like, I think he can do some interesting things. Like I think especially on like indoor maps and stuff, he honestly can do some crazy things to the point where I'm definitely putting him above Trapper and Hag. Like, he can be a threat. Like, it can be surprising sometimes how much Ghostfaces can pop off if you're not careful. It's just, I feel like it's just if the survivors are real careful, it's just so hard. I do think, yeah, someone in chat did point it out, and I do think for the record, Play With Your Food makes them way better as well. And I do think I almost feel like with Play With Your Food, that's a good point. I guess if we're gonna count the very best builds, because yeah, we're counting the very best builds. This might be crazy. Wait a minute. Hold the phones. I think with Play With Your Food, I unironically maybe would put him like here. Maybe better than Bubba? If we're specifically thinking about Play With Your Food, that perk does do really well in this killer, right? Like, you can kind of like drop chase, get a bunch of speed, because Play With Your Food makes it so that you can, like, you can take people into normal M1 chases, and you can actually down them, right? Like, if you have like two stacks of Play With Your Food, you can, like, even if you pop stock on someone and you chase them in a normal, like, M1 chase, they die if you're good at M1 chase. Which is kind of nuts, actually. Like, you get at least some guaranteed downs. The problem with that is, like, Play With Your Food can be a little RNG on, like, your ability to find the obsession and stuff. Like, there's a little, like, there's, like, definitely, like, a consistency problem with it. but the potential's there. I think I mean, okay, I think Ghostface's highs are way higher than Bubba's highs. I'll say that much. Like again, like it's kind of the same reason that we put Doctor above Bubba. Like the highs of Doctor are way higher than the highs of Bubba. Not way higher, but they're higher. Ghostface's highs, I would argue Ghostface's highs are even higher than Doctor's highs. Like his highs are really fucking high. Like if you get like either good maps or B, like you have play through food and just get high stacks, I unironically think that he can do more than Bubba, I think, against good players. Like, I really do. I don't think it's, like, significantly more. I'm going to keep him here. I'm going to keep him here. I kind of completely forgot how to play through food. The second I remembered it, I actually feel pretty strongly about this. I feel like a play through food Ghostface is, to me, like, I'm trying to think. On Survivor, who am I more scared of? A Bubba, even like a really good Bubba, like a cracked Bubba, or like a play through food Ghostface. Even if the play through food Ghostface isn't, like, super cracked, even just, like, a pretty decent one, is kind of terrifying. Like, honestly. Like, it's actually quite scary. I do think, yeah, I'm confident in this. I don't care what anyone says. I'm putting him there. Demo's up next. Demo is like, man, it's kind of funny. Demo is like this, I view him in my head as like almost like this landmark killer. I don't know how to, there's probably a better way to articulate what I'm thinking. I remember like 5 years ago or however long it was, Demo used to be like considered the like perfect killer in terms of like balance. Like it was like he's like pretty strong, but he has counterplay. He was like the perfect middle ground where everyone said that he was like the perfect like middle of like strength of killers, and he was like perfectly balanced and like blah 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 blah. Now, since then, the overall skill level of the game has gone up drastically, and also they've released way better killers, so like that kind of bumps them down to the tiers a bit. And I do think nowadays, I feel like I would put Demo in like high C tier. I don't think I could even justify putting him in B tier. I mean, I do think a good Demo can be pretty scary, because like again, his thing is basically just that he has a very quick dash you can charge, right? Like it's one of the fastest one of the fastest, maybe the fastest like charging dash in the game. I mean, maybe Chucky is like right up there too. But like it charges insanely fast and like has a pretty big hitbox. And if you know how to like use it and like slide off things and get like weird cheeky hits with it, it can be pretty good. It's also pretty good for zoning because you can break pallets with it. But at the end of the day, it is basically like looping a Demo is basically just like looping a normal killer with a slight dash effect you have to look out for. So if you know how to play around it safely, you can kind of just get into that position where you're just feeding him pallets over and over again, and then you pop all the gens, and then he's too far behind to do anything, right? Like that should happen pretty reliably. I think to the point where like I think I might even put him below Myers. Like I think Myers has more of a chance of making something happen than Demo does. Like Demo, like again, no one-shot down potential or anything either. Really just shouldn't be able to make much happen against really, really good players. Obviously he has like the portals too for mobility, but even the portals that he had, like his mobility power is probably one of the worst in the game because you have to like preemptively set it up. You know, you get to set a portal there, then run over, set a portal somewhere else, and then you can portal, and then the survivors can also break your portals. Like, he has a mobility power, but it's probably one of the weakest, if not the weakest ones in the entire game. So, like, that adds a little bit to his kit, but not, like, a crazy amount. He's mostly just a normal killer with, like, a dash and a chase, and it's just not... Like, I feel like with how good everyone's gotten to this game, I think he just has been, like, power crept as a whole to the point where, like, I just think it's pretty easy to beat a Demo these days, you know? On top of, like, you know, crouch tech existing as well, which is pretty solid, so... Yeah, I don't know. Not really much more to say about that. I think used to be like a perfect middle point. Not anymore. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. You know? Unfortunate. Oni. Now, this is where I have a little bit of a dilemma because obviously I think most people probably know where Oni's going to go, right? Oni on a tier list is pretty obvious. He goes in A tier, right? Like, I think most people are going to agree. Like, I feel like when you think of an A tier killer, you think of like Oni's probably like the person you think of. I think I'm going to put Oni below Clown. Unironically, I think this is actually true. Well, the only thing that might stop me from doing this is I do think a lot of the maps, especially recently, like ever since like pallet density update and just in general, they have made a lot of the maps like better for M1 chase. Like I do think a really good M1 chase killer is able to like create damage better now. Like, okay, let's just talk about Oni, obviously, right? I mean, most people might know this already, but just bear with me, okay? Oni's thing is that he starts out with no power. He has to earn his power by getting a hit on a survivor, right? Like, if the survivors, in theory, cannot give him a hit at all, like, if they play really safe and don't give him a hit, he's just literally guy with sword. Like, he has no power at all until he gets a hit. But once he gets a hit and he starts getting blood, then he gets his blood rush or his blood fury or whatever it's called, and then he can fly around and hit, like, 180 flicks and do all, like once Oni's in power, he's probably, like, the most deadly killer in the entire game, right? But you can deny his power really well if you play really, really safe in like M1 chase. And And it used to be even more of a problem back in the day, because back in the day, there used to be way more god palettes on most maps, to the point where, like, you would just get stuck in, like, this, like, oh, I have to kick this pallet, oh, I have to kick this pallet, I have to kick this pallet. These days, you actually can bloodlust pallets a lot more than you could back then, to the point where I think you can get damage a little bit more consistently. But I don't think it's consistent enough that I want to put him above Clown. Like, I think a really, really good team of survivors, especially that are good against that are good in M1 chase, can still deny the first hit well enough that, like, by the time he gets power, the survivors are, like, pretty far ahead, and he kind of has to make something happen to come back, right? It feels like how it usually goes. That being said, if you even just, like, fuck up a little bit early game and give him a hit early game, he just wins. Like, if you give a really good Oni a hit at, like, 5 gens with, like, I say at 5 gens, like, obviously if it's 5 gens, but, like, 3 gens are all 80%, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, genuinely, like, at 5 gens, like, if an Oni gets a hit within the first, like, I'll say this. If an Oni gets a hit within the first, like, 40 seconds of a match, for instance, a good Oni probably just wins that match. Like, maybe certain maps make that not true or something. I don't know. But, like, more often than not, the Oni is going to win that. Like, if the Oni is a good player, that's enough already. Like, already just that start is enough that he can almost guarantee the win, which is fucking crazy. That is so... It's so hard to put him low in a tier list with that fact being true. That's so, like, he's so explosive and he's so snowbally. Like, once he gets going, it's so hard to stop him from, like, continuing to go, right? Like, it's so hard to slow an Oni down once he gets going. A good Oni, I should say. A really, really good Oni. But, like, again, I think the fact that he can be inconsistent with his early game, and also the fact that, again, I guess you even could kind of mess up even once you get power. Clown just feels so much more consistent in terms of, like, always putting you in terrible positions. And again, I also feel like Clown has no bad maps. I feel like Oni can at least have somewhat rough maps sometimes, whereas Clown has, like, no bad maps. I think, oh my god, is Oni below Clown? I think he is. Like, I think he is. It's crazy for me. Like, I'm trying to talk myself out of it because it feels like I shouldn't do that, but I think, yeah, I think he's below Clown. Like, again, very explosive killer, just not quite consistent enough, I think, to put him above Clown, I think. Like, just not quite consistent enough, but very, very good still. Like, still very, very insane. Like, probably top 10 killers, maybe. Like, it's probably almost in the top 10. Very, very, very strong killer, though, still. So, yeah, like, mid-A for now. We'll see. Maybe I'll switch him later, but that's where I'm putting him for now. The Deathslinger. Oh, he's slinging death. Okay, Deathslinger is a killer where historically, I think I've put this killer in the wrong tier a lot. And honestly, this killer is really, 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 really hard to like, judge, I feel like, because Deathslinger realistically there's very few areas in the map that are, like, perfectly safe against Deathslinger. Like, even a lot of pallets when you pre-throw them can still be kind of sketch. Like, Deathslinger can create damage and get kills almost anywhere on the map. It's just, like, again, it's one of those situations where it's like, it might not be worth trying to go for it if you don't have a super high chance of it working, right? Like, some pallets, it's like, I would say you have, like, maybe like a 20-80% chance to actually get damage. Other pallets, I'd say you have like an 80-20, where maybe you have like a very, very likely chance, right? So, like, a lot of playing Deathslinger is kind of knowing when to go for the shots and knowing when to try to get the damage versus, like, you know, being like, okay, this isn't a good spot, let's save it, right? Because, like, bad Deathslingers, I think, just send shots constantly. Like, they're just sending every shot, and it's, like, really easy to predict them, and every time you miss, you have to, like, reload, you lose some distance, the survivors gain some distance, blah, 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 blah. But, like, if a Slinger's playing really safe and landing shots, he could, like, absolutely just shit on anyone. But it's very, like, it feels very gambly. Like, there's no real way to consistently land shots at Deathslinger. Like, the hitbox of the harpoon that you shoot is so, so, so tiny that, like, if the survivor's, like, 8 meters away or something, it's like, if they just happen to, like, nudge to the left as you shoot or something, or whatever. Like, if they just nudge a different direction than you shoot, it'll miss. You know what I mean? Like, it's impossible to be consistent on him, which is the problem. So it's kind of odd, because I feel like if you have a game where you're kind of just getting unlucky and not landing a lot of the shots, he might feel like he's, like, down here even, right? Like, I mean, I don't think that's where he belongs, but he might feel like he's even this low if you're having a rough game where you're, like, not landing any shots. But vice versa, if you have a game where a lot of your shots are landing and, like, you know, or, like, you know, or if you're in Survivor and, you know, the other way around, they're landing every shot on you, he might feel like he's up here. You know what I mean? We're like, Jesus Christ, like, how do you survive against this guy? You know what I mean? It's just it's so inconsistent, though, and I feel like consistency is really important. Like, I think his highs are really high and his lows are really low, but like to an extreme level, to the point that I don't think I could really put him like super high up. But I do think he... I think even... Okay, there is like a level of playing safe that you can do where you only go for like really, really safe shots. But the problem is that if you do that, then you're just not really taking shots very often at all. And it takes too long to get the downs. So it's kind of like you gotta have to balance like taking some risky shots versus taking some safe ones. And I don't know. It's very hard to actually pinpoint his placement, but I think I'm going to put him... Okay, like he's definitely like above the B tier killers. Like he's either high, like at the top of B or low A. I think I've always historically put him low A, but I don't know. Like what makes an A tier killer an A tier killer versus a B tier killer? I don't know. I think maybe he is A tier. I'm going to put him in A tier for now. And honestly, I think what I'm going to have to do is at the end of this tier list, I'm going to have to look at all the killers in A and B tier and really think about what makes an A tier killer an A tier versus a B tier killer a B tier. I want to get all the killers into a tier first before I do that. So I'm going to put him in high A for now, but he might end up in something like, or sorry, I'm going to put him in low A, but he might end up somewhere like high B. Is probably where he might end up. So we'll see. We'll see. This is okay. This next killer is another killer that I swear my mentality on this killer has changed drastically over the years, bro. I used to very, very confidently slap this killer in like mid to high A tier back in the day. Is like what I used to always do. Because like on paper, Pyramid Head does sound super gross, right? He's a 4.6 killer, so he's not even like, for instance, like Deathslinger's like 4.4, right? So he has this like deadly power, but he's slow, right? For the record, Deathslinger kind of falls into like the spirit nurse category in terms of like that style. I kind of forgot to mention it, but he does. So like I kind of almost want to like Pyramid Head doesn't have that 4.4 thing, right? He's 4.6, so he can play normal M1 chase decently. He can catch up to you pretty well, right? Like it's hard to hold distance on him like it is like on Deathslinger or whatever, but. And also, again, he has like a shockwave power where he can put his sword in the ground. He can follow you. He goes faster than you do, right? He goes 4.2 while you go 4.0. So he goes faster than the survivors while following them with his sword in the ground. And then at any point, he can throw a shockwave that goes through walls and damages you, right? So he can like zone you away from palace and windows and all these things. Like his zoning is incredible. And he doesn't even have like that bad of mobility to make up for it. So on paper, it sounds like he should be like absurd. You know what I mean? And I've always, like in the past, have put him like in like mid A. But honestly, I've had a lot of experiences with it against this killer now to the point where I'm actually pretty confident this killer is not A tier. And the reason why is like, it's kind of like the Deathslinger thing where like, it's kind of gambly. Like there's no way to 100% guarantee your shockwaves will land, right? Like unless the survivor like vaults a window or a pallet in your face, but smart survivors are probably not going to do that. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of like little bait mind games that the survivors can do to try to like, still win pallets and windows and can try to get one over you. You can do the thing where you like go past a pallet and then come back and throw it to like stun you. Like there's a lot of little mind games that the survivors have that make it really hard to get like guaranteed hit, right? Like almost none of your hits are guaranteed. You have to like win these little mind games to get hits. And even then, like the problem is after you send the shockwave, you have this like cooldown that's like decently long. It gives the survivors a bunch of distance and you have no way of like naturally one-shot downing as well, which means that like you just don't really have snowball potential. This killer has like basically no snowball potential. Like he's a weird killer because if you're landing every shockwave, like if you happen to land every shockwave, you're like, oh my god, I'm a killing machine. The survivors can't do anything, and he feels like he's like S tier. You're like, oh my god, what the fuck could they possibly do? But if you just miss like, I don't know, 4 shockwaves in a row and the survivors like pull ahead, it's impossible to come back, bro. Once the survivors pull ahead of you on Pyramid Head, you do not come back. Like, you just lose. Like, he has no, like, comeback potential at all once he falls behind. Because his damage is just really slow, right? Like, even the zoning he does and everything he does is just too slow and too gambly. And you have to play these, like, really risky, like, gamble shots that you have to hope land. Like, his comeback potential is just not there. It's just not there. Like, it's just so rough now. So, yeah, I think I'm actually pretty confident that, like, again, even though he sometimes could feel like he's S tier if he's getting really lucky, I think it's way too luck-based. And I think the fact that, like, the only way he's S tier is if you get perfectly lucky and also play incredibly. Like, even if you're playing incredibly, if you just get unlucky and then you fall behind the survivors, they just beat you. And there's not really much you can do about it. So, I think I got to put him in B tier. But I will put him high up in B tier. Like, definitely high up in B tier. Like, probably the top of B tier. But I'm pretty confident he's not A tier. Also he has like obviously they like to get around tunnel mechanics and stuff, but like whatever, you know, like caging and stuff is cool, and like obviously like it like circumvents DS and you know anti-tunnel perks in some way, but that's even like whatever, that's not that big of a deal. It's kind of cool, but it's not a super huge deal. Okay. Blight. I think Blight is the best killer in the game. I think he's better than Nurse on average. This one is like a bit of a toss-up. Like, if you see me say this and you're like, how dare you, Tofu? Nurse is definitely better than Blight. I'd be like, all right, whatever. Like, I don't really care to argue it, you know? Like, I think they're incredibly close to the point where it's like really, really hard to put one over the other. But I think on average, I think Blight's a little bit better than Nurse on average, I think. Like, it's so close that I'm not going to argue with people over it, but like, yeah. Basically, Blight, like, we were talking about Nurse in her segment, right? But the thing about Blight is that he is like, he's absurdly deadly with the ability also of having like absurd mobility on top of it, which just makes him insane. Like, again, Nurse's big weakness is that she's not super mobile, and like really, really good macro, really good rotations, really good positioning, really, really hurt her, right? Like, distance hurts her a lot. Blight doesn't give a fuck about distance, bro. He does not care. He's fast as shit. He's a little junky. He would be flying around. He'd be doing whatever he wants. It does not matter. And Blight still, if you're really good at Blight, you can still find a lot of scenarios where you can like put the survivors in like, again, I don't know if the survivors are ever in like again, Nurse puts people in like 100 and 0 positions where it's like, if she's within 10 meters of you, you're getting hit. There's no way to stop it, right? I don't know. Blight does sometimes have like 100 zeros like that, but I feel like even his 100 zeros are like 95 fives, kind of. You know what I mean? And actually, I think they're 100 zeros sometimes. But I would argue like there's a lot of places where he feels like an 80-20, and then there's some places where he feels like almost like a 100 zero, assuming you don't fuck up. And like he still creates these like scenarios where you either get a hit guaranteed or you have like a pretty high chance of getting a hit guaranteed while still being mobile as fuck. And it's very, very crazy. And again, I think a lot of this boils down to like the maps. Like, again, this is obviously an extreme example, but you boot up like Midwich and obviously Nurse is better. But I would even argue maybe like Cool Tower, maybe like you can give it to Nurse, maybe. Like, there's certain maps like that. And obviously some maps just have like jank-ass collision that hurt Blight too. Like, I mean, have fun on like Toba Landing or something with its jank-ass collision. That shit's a nightmare. But like, for the most part, there's like certain maps where I feel like it might be the other way around. It's just so hard to like judge the two though. Like, they're so close to each other. I think Blight on average though is just able. Okay, another thing about Blight is I think you're able to make. I think if you make mistakes as Blight, I think you still have more comeback potential than Nurse. Like, I feel like, for instance, as Nurse, if you fuck up a little bit, or like if the survivors are just playing really well and they're like ahead, you're kind of like, I think you're more relying on them making like a big positional mistake and taking advantage of it. Whereas with Blight, I feel like you can still create a lot of like fast-paced like 50-50 plays where like if you can kind of get some quick hits and quick downs in, you can kind of like come back and get into like a better spot pretty quickly. So I still feel like it's just, again, he's like more explosive in terms of like his ability to snowball quickly, and also the mobility is just incredible. I think on average, I gotta say Blight is better more often than not. But again, they're so close that I wouldn't really argue it. Again, I think anyone watching a tier list, unless you're like brand new to DbD, you probably already know that these are the top killers. Everyone knows it, so like it's not really any big surprise. I'm not going to spend too long on it. That's essentially it. Twins is a hard killer for me. Every time I make a tier list, I don't ever know what to do with Twins, dude. Because Twins is like, I'm confident in saying that Twins is the killer that gets hard countered by perks more than any other killer in the entire game. Like, bro, if you're playing Twins and the survivors have like Power Struggle Flip Flop, bye. Like fucking say goodnight. You know what I mean? If they have like a bunch of boons, like Circle of Healing, Boon Unbreakable, if they just have Unbreakable themselves, Plot Twist, dude, I could make a list of like 10 or 15 perks that completely shit on this killer and make her completely fucking, well, not useless. I don't want to say useless, but make her way weaker. But that being said, if you don't have like multiple of those perks, she kind of fucks. Like, I can't lie to you. Like, Twins does still kind of fuck. Like, she can snowball pretty crazy. So I don't like, and also like, I also feel like Twins doesn't have that many weak maps either because of, you know, Victor being Victor. Also, I forgot to mention, this tier list is basing it off of their absolute best add-ons, right? I think Twins, if you run Forest Stew and Silencing Cloth, is actually disgusting, bro. That stealth you get from Silencing Cloth, I think, is unironically really fucking strong. I mean, God forbid you get an indoor map, then it's a nightmare. Like, you're probably fucked if it's a good Twins. But even if it's not an indoor map, like, Silencing Cloth is nasty, bro. It's a nasty add-on, which if you guys don't know, it's the add-on where, like, when you come back to Charlotte, you get stealth for like 20 seconds. It's like a long time. It's like 20 seconds of stealth. Like, it can make her a little bit more deadly in Charlotte form. It can get her some more hits. So it's it's just like the perks hurt her so much, man. It's so hard for me to like put her in an accurate spot. like if the survivors don't have like really hard counter perks to you, like if they just have like the standard, like I'm thinking if the survivors have like the standard, like, oh, we all have like an exhaustion perk and some anti-tunnel and, you know, maybe like maybe one unbreakable and then maybe like, you know, some like fast track and some gen perks or whatever. Like if it's just stuff like that, like if it isn't like a hard counter to you, I feel like, man, it's so hard to say. Because this is also hard too, because like Twins counterplay is like really complicated. So like if we're talking like super good survivors, then I feel like she's not that good. But if we're talking like just like an average like good squad, like I'm thinking like one of my win streak teams where like we're like good and we know what we're doing, but like we're not like perfect players and we still like fuck up stuff sometimes here and there. You know what I mean? Like we're capable of making mistakes, especially on killers like Twins that have a bit more complicated counterplay than others. Like that's kind of what I'm not. This isn't like Team Invictus fucking, you know, tier list. This is like, this is so hard, dude. I'm gonna put her like there for now. Dude, my clown placement's really high. The more I'm looking at this, what? It's fine. We'll come back to it later. I think this is where she belongs. Again, I think she's capable of doing like insane. I guess I didn't explain the basics of this, but like basically Victor in the hands of a good player is a guaranteed hit. There's really like no way to avoid Victor other than like a couple palettes, maybe like Shack palette. Maybe there's other like very specific palettes on certain maps, like certain god palettes in hallways or something. Other than like very specific things like that, Victor is like almost a guaranteed hit and there's no way to stop it, which is crazy. So like if she can kind of get snowballing and get people injured and get like kind of get that going, Victor can just make her snowball like mad. So, but again, the survivors are smart and like, man, this is so tough, bro. With the survivors having all perks too and everything. I don't know, dude. I feel like if the survivors are actually smart and they like again, if she starts snowballing, even like lockering up, buddy systeming, like I don't think it's that complicated. Like, okay, I'm gonna leave her here, but I think realistically, if you told me she was like down here, I wouldn't really argue with you, to be honest with you. I feel like it's too hard for me to like really pinpoint an exact spot. I'm just gonna leave her here for now. It's too tough for me to like pinpoint an exact spot. I think this is fine. She's definitely a threat. I'll put it that much. I'm putting her in a tier where she is obviously a huge threat and can fuck people up for sure. It's just the more comfortable the survivors are against her and like the more team play and coordination they have, plus like the amount of perks they have can change, I think, a lot about where she is, but I think this is still fine. New Trickster, I think this is the big one since he just got reworked. So this is probably like the one everyone's most curious about, so we're gonna save him for last. No, I'm just kidding. We're actually gonna do him now. So they changed him, and he's 4.4 now, so he's slower. He's not 4.6, but he kills in 6 knives instead of 8, which is, I think, a pretty big deal. They added like the whole style system where like, you know, as your style goes up, you get buffs to like your throw speed, your reload speed, like all these like little things. And then when you get S tier, also when you get S tier, you unlock main event, and you also get Killer Instinct up to like, what is it, like 44 meters around you or something, which is kind of a big deal. It's a lot of information. So I personally think that in the hands of a really good Trickster player, like again, we're talking like Trickster mains, right? We're talking like Votsic or whoever. Like, I think Trickster is better now than before the rework, but I think he's way more skill intensive. Like, for instance, when I play Trickster, sometimes I'm like, oh my god, this killer feels insane. And sometimes I'll get like an opening where I can land like 3 daggers and I'll miss like 2 out of the 3, and I'm like, fuck, you know what I mean? But like if you're good at Trickster, you're not going to do that. You're going to be hitting every dagger every chance you get, and you're going to like know exactly how like you're going to know exactly when to pull up, how many to throw. Like, I think in the hands of a really good Trickster, I think he's better now than he was pre-rework. Not by like a crazy amount, but at least a little bit. But again, the problem is though, it's still, he has the same, like, he still falls into the same category of killer as like, again, it's like an extremely diet version of like Nurse or like Spirit or like Deathslinger or like Huntress, where it's like you're like a slow killer, right? You're 4.4, you don't really have any good mobility, but you're like really deadly close range. But if the survivors are able to get distance on you and hold that distance, and the game becomes way harder. And I feel like I feel like you can compare him to Deathslinger a lot, right? Like he has a projectile that like the projectile is deadly. I feel like his projectile is like more consistent than Deathslinger, but like potentially slower. Like a Slinger like just lands a shot and then you could be dead instantly. Like I feel like you can consistently kill someone with Trickster, but it might take you like 30 seconds to get the damage or something, but you will get it after 30 seconds. I just feel like if survivors play really good, like again, like if you think about the kind of play that you do to like Spirit or Nurse or whoever, right? Like really good positioning, really good rotations, really good taking chases to the right play. Like if you just play really good disciplined survivor, you should almost like never be able to win against really, really good players, right? So like I think it's hard for me to really put him in like A tier even. I think I'm kind of realizing out loud what the tiers mean to me. I've been trying to figure this out as the tier list goes on. I'm starting to figure it out. Like I'm starting to figure out that like the tiers I think are basically just like your percentage chance in my head of how likely are you to be able to like win / have a really good result against a good team versus like how much less likely are you. Like I feel like Slinger at least has a good like Slinger can end chases in like 30 seconds. Like it might not happen every time, but he like can do it. I think Trickster against against really good teams with good positioning, realistically they should be able to last like 45-ish seconds unless they get caught in a really bad spot. Like they should be able to last usually or die in a good spot and kind of it's tough, man. I think I'm gonna put him high B. Like I think I will put him above Pyramid Head for the record, but like I think he's high B. I don't think he's quite A tier material to me. Like, I think he's still just too beatable by, like, good play. And I think it's just not... Like, I think you're kind of relying on some pretty big, like, positional fumbles from the survivors. Like, some pretty... Like I think positional fumbles that are pretty easy to avoid. You know what I mean? So, like, I think I can't just fight anything higher than B. But I do think he's a little bit deadlier than he was pre-rework. Not a lot, but a little bit. Like I think he's close, but I think he's around the same. But only when the Trickster player is good. I think if the Trickster player is bad, I think he's fucking terrible now. Like I think going against bad Tricksters is like one of the easiest things to ever play against now. So I think he's way more skill intensive. It's just I shouldn't say the easiest things ever, but it's not hard to survive against him is what I'll say. So way more skill intensive, but yeah, I think that's fine. Nemesis is another weird one because like how the fuck do I judge the zombies, bro? I don't know. The zombies are so RNG. Like sometimes they do a lot, sometimes they do a little. He has like the whip power where he has to like, you know, infect you first before it can hit you. And then he has to follow up with that infection to get more damage and like, you know, yada, yada, yada. Then he has like strafe tech he can do, which is kind of cool. I think in the past I might have underrated Nemi, but I also don't want to overrate him either. He's a weird killer that like, it's really hard to judge. I do think one of Nemi's biggest weaknesses is that if early game, if you play really, really careful and like pre-drop pallets against him and like deny his tier 2, like him getting tier 2 on his power is a major power spike, like a huge power spike. So if you deny that early by like just pre-throwing pallets and forcing him to like spacebar kick him, then it can be really, really hard sometimes to even like get the ball rolling, right? But I do think a good Nemi player, once you get the ball rolling, is frankly fucking terrifying. Like, I feel like... Okay, I'm going to give a shout out to somebody in this that I feel like people need to check out for Nemi, because I feel like I used to pretty consistently say like, yeah, like C tier, especially if you play safe against some early game, until I played a bunch against Lil Cheapo. All right, Lil Cheapo is that man is a freakazoid of a fucking of a Nemesis player, bro. He is disgusting. He is terrifying. I swear, every time I play against Lil Cheapo, I'm like, I think maybe Nemesis is way better than I originally thought. Like, that guy is gross, bro. And, like, I swear, he's, like, so good at knowing, like, the exact, like, distance that he can get whips in. Like, he, like, will never miss his whips ever somehow. Like, you cannot get him to whip to save your life. He's nasty good, bro. And I feel like once you get infected against, like, a Nemesis of his level, it's fucking hard to stay alive, dude. Like, it's hard to stay alive. Like, you basically have to try to hold distance, and once he gets close to you, it feels like you're, like, 80-20 dead at every time you pull up to, like, a powder window. Like, it's hard. Again, the kind of downsides here, though, is that you have to get them initially infected first, which means you're kind of slower to get going. And also, again, holding distance on you is still good. The wild card, again, is kind of the zombies. Like, I think if you have, like, if the zombies are, like, happening to, like, you know, pressure people off of important gens at important moments, that they're doing, like, big things for you, or even, like, interrupting chases or whatever, he might sometimes feel, like, unironically, I think he can sometimes feel, like, low A tier. But if the zombies aren't really doing jack shit, even if you're a good Nemesis player, I still feel like you're like somewhere in the B tier, like maximum. Assuming the zombies aren't doing like anything huge. But where out of the B tier? I don't know. Bro, I think this might be me being scarred by Lil Cheapo. Like I can't tell how much my judgment here is being clouded by this, you know? I think I'm gonna put him here. I think I'm gonna put him above Wraith maybe. Like again, I'm trying to think of those games out against Lil Cheapo and how fucking helpless I felt. Like He was nasty, bro. I don't know. I think again, I think if you really get nasty good at this killer, I think you could do some pretty crazy stuff. So yeah, I think I'll put him there. I think I'll put him there. I think that's fine. Like mid B. I mean, if you wanted to say that he was lower B, wouldn't argue. I think it's fine. I'm not really too upset about the placements in the tiers, other than maybe like the very top and the very bottom. So I think I'm totally okay with that. Pinhead's another killer where I feel like he's like kind of RNG based on how the chains spawn, but even not really, kind of to an extent too. There's also a lot of teamwork plays you can make against them, right? Like hit tanking and like helping each other is like really strong against them. Exhaustion's hurt him a lot, right? Because obviously like distance is like really important with a killer like this. He basically just has like the little chain portal he can slow you down with, right? He's kind of like budget version of Freddy, kind of, right? He has like a little slowdown mid loop that he can give you. But even then, sometimes the chains spawn in dumb ways where you can break out of them quickly. You know, sometimes they have teammates there to help them. Sometimes you whiff, you know what I mean? Like sometimes you can just like actually whiff your thing and they can juke it. But still, no matter what, reliably, he can't like reliably snowball incredibly fast against good players, I think. Obviously, there's like box logic too. That's kind of nice that you can do. Like if you're really good with box logic, you can kind of keep the pressure up with chain hunts and stuff. Well, like there's some stuff like that you can do that's kind of nice. And obviously he has like built-in slowdown because of the box as well, which is kind of cool. Like he has like some things like that going for him that help him a little. But at the end of the day, he still is like basically like an M1 killer with a minor slowdown chase power and then like a little bit of like a global pressure thing that happens every once in a while, and that's it, right? There's not much else there. Like I don't think there's a crazy amount of snowball potential when the survivors are actually good. And again, distance hurts him a lot. I struggle with Pinhead because I'm not sure whether to put him in. Like he's no way he's A tier. I'll say that much, okay? He's either B or C, and I struggle to put him like high C or low B. Like I don't. Again, I think this is one of those things where I think maybe when I go back at the end of the video and I like at the end of this video, I'm going to go back and like break down exactly what each tier means. And I think when I do that, I might change his position a little bit. But he's undeniably like around here, like better or worse than Pig. You know what I mean? I'm trying to think. I unironically feel like it's so hard because I feel like Pig is so different on maps. Like depending on the map, I feel like worse than Pig, right? I'm going to put him right there. I'm putting him at the bottom of beat for now. I could change that, though. I don't know. That's a hard one. I think that's fine. Artist, this might be another hot take. I don't... I feel like people's opinions on artists is so interesting to me. I remember people used to put artists in, like, high A tier. I used to see her as, like... People used to put her as, like, the 5th best killer in the game for a long time. I remember she was in the top 5 for people for years and years. I mean, this was a long time ago, right? This was, like, before, like Dracula and Kaneki existed and all that jazz or whatever. But still... Like, there was definitely a period where I saw people rating her incredibly high. And then, like, randomly people were like, wait a minute, this killer's, like, low B tier. And I've been seeing her there, too. And I'm like, whoa. It's very odd. I think Artist is very solid. I think I have to put her in A tier, I think. I think the only thing that would maybe keep her out of A tier is that she's a bit map dependent, right? Like, she obviously can get hurt hard by certain maps that have, like, elevation or whatever. But I think she's still incredibly strong. I mean, she's 4.6. She has, like, the crows she could put down to, like, zone out pallets and windows. She also has, like, the little, like, obviously, like you could swarm someone and then, like, kind of chase after them with the pressure of the birds to kind of zone them even more. Like, she has incredible zoning mid-chase. She also has, like, really good area control in terms of, like, once she gets a hook, she's able to, like, harass places all over the map pretty well. Obviously, like, the harassment she gives isn't, like, insane, right? Like, if she's sending crows to a gen and swarming someone and they're, like, hopping on a locker, hopping back out and getting back on the gen, you're not really, like... you know, doing a lot, but still, I mean, every time you do that, you're adding like 4 more seconds to that gen. Like, it's kind of, you know, that does add up. I do think she definitely belongs in A tier. I think people that put her in B tier are out of their fucking minds. I don't think there's, like, if I look at the killers in B tier, I think there's no fucking world that Artist is anywhere near them in terms of replacement. I do think her issue is still the same thing as a lot of other killers, where I think if the survivors play really safe and smart, if they, like, take chases to the correct areas and just pressure the right things, I still feel like even though our zoning is nuts, I think it can sometimes be hard to, like, create those, like, instant downs, right? Like, I think that's a big thing that makes, like, the really, really high killers really high, is that, like, they can create scenarios where it's like you're dead in like 30 seconds and there's nothing you can do. Not nothing you can do about it, but there's very little you can do about it. Artist, I feel like you can kind of like path around her zoning and take her edge map and keep pathing her in weird ways where you're like, okay, I accept that I'm going to get hit, but I'm going to make this hit take as long as fucking possible. You know what I mean? And sometimes like you can delay each hit long enough that like, even though it's like a guaranteed down, it might take like 45, 50 seconds to get that hit or down. You know what I mean? And it's like, if that's happening consistently throughout a game and they're pressuring things in the right ways, it's so hard to actually like do anything enough to actually get a full win, right? Like I think you do get like guaranteed downs to like an extent, right? Like you shouldn't get like a 0 stage, you know? But man. And like in that extent, it almost makes you I almost want to put Slinger above her because I think Slinger realistically can create scenarios better. Maybe though? I don't know. It's so map dependent too. That I don't know. I think I'm gonna put her like Freddy? Like better or worse than Freddy here, bro? Is my Freddy placement too high? I think it might be. I gotta remember best add-ons too. Best add-ons. She honestly does have some pretty gross add-ons. I'm not gonna lie to you. With best add-ons too, I kind of forgot that her add-ons are quite gross. Did I forget any other recent killers in terms of add-ons? I didn't, right? Like Pinhead's got some okay ones. I don't think. I think we're fine. I think I'm gonna put artists like. I think I'm gonna put her above Freddy. I'm a little sketch on this one too, though. I don't know. I think that's fine. Onryo, I think. Onryo's one of those killers where I don't know if I've ever seen someone play Onryo to her fullest potential. Like, I've seen some pretty good Onryo players, right? Like, everyone always shouts out like One Pump Willie and stuff, and I've seen some pretty good players on Onryo, but she has like these really interesting mind games, bro. Like, Onryo, I think, is one of those killers that, like, I think if somebody, like, mastered Onryo and got ridiculously good at her, I would unironically, like, watch that person's stream / YouTube 24/7. Like, I would be so entranced by it. Because there's, like, crazy shit that you potentially could do with Onryo where, like, you run that one add-on, I think it's called Reiko's Watch or Reiko's Watch, however you say it, where you're, like, invisible longer while you're demanifested. And you can literally, and also, like, if you guys don't know, when you're playing Onryo, like the HUD, like the hands that you see on screen literally tell you whether you're actually invisible or not. So you can know when you're invisible versus you're not invisible. And if you get really good at like the timings of those, you can like make it look like you're going one way, go invisible, and then you'll be invisible for literally like 4 whole seconds. And then suddenly you just like appear somewhere else. And it's potentially crazy. Like you can do wild things with this killer if you're really, really good with like the timings of all that. It's just like, it's very complicated. Like I've tried learning it and it's like really complicated and hard. And I also just found that like it wasn't very fruitful to learn because most survivors I ran into just brainlessly held W anyway. So like it just wasn't fun for me to learn. So I never learned it. But like, I think in the hands of someone who's really good with Onryo, I think she actually might be a bit deadlier than people give her credit for. That being said, it's really hard for me to judge that because I've just never really seen anyone play her to her highest potential. So I don't fully know on this one. I feel like based on how even I've seen like pretty good Onryo players play, I feel like I don't know if I could justify her putting her higher. Like highest I could ever put her is like low B, and I don't even think I can put her low B. I think I gotta put her like C tier somewhere. Like again, she obviously has like her teleports that give condemn, right? Like the condemn is like kind of nice. Realistically speaking, if the survivors are actually paying attention to condemn, they really shouldn't actually be dying to it more often than not, unless they're on like Midwich. Maybe that's like the one map that's like that's like an example of a map where you might die to it. Even on like Gideon Meat Plant, the pallets are so safe that even if you get a bunch of stacks, you should be able to go put a tape in and not die. I feel like it's hard for me to put her any higher than C tier. I think I'm gonna slap her like in front of Doctor but below Demo. This one's a wild card though, man. Like I do feel like if I saw someone who was like insanely good with this killer, they could change my mind and I could put her even up as high as B tier. But as of right now, I don't think I could justify putting her there. I think I just put her in C tier, and I think that's basically the extent of where she goes. I've been waiting for this part of the tier list. Baby. Bam. Sorry, bam. Right above Hag, baby. Unironically below Trapper. Dredge is fucking dookie, bro. This killer sucks balls. I feel like if you're not playing on Midwich, all right? If you're playing on Midwich Elementary School, congratulations. You're probably an A tier killer, okay? Like on Midwich specifically, I think this killer's probably A. Any other map other than Midwich, this killer is like here. Like there's no way, dude. This killer is so bad. Like currently, it's insane. Like I swear I see so many people put this killer in like B tier and tier list, and it's like this. I feel like it's like mass hysteria, bro. It's some kind of weird phenomenon going on. I don't know what it is. Well, actually, I do know what it is. It's the fact that like I shouldn't say nobody. Very few people in public games I think actually understand how to play against this killer well enough to really shut him down as well as he can be. And I think if the survivors even fuck up like a little bit, I think you can snowball, right? So like against bad survivors, I think he does feel like quite good. But I think you go against good survivors on any map other than Midwich, and I think this killer is quite bad, like quite bad, to the point where, like, again, he doesn't even really have any. Like, I think Trapper. I'm putting, for the record, the reason why I'm putting Trapper above him is because this tier list is assuming best add-ons, right? This is like double Eerie Trapper. I think double Eerie Trapper, even like best add-ons for Dredge are probably like what even are best add-ons for Dredge? Like lavalier microphone and like field recorder maybe or something. I don't even know. Like, I don't even know what best add-ons are for Dredge anymore. Like, I literally don't even know. Like, even I don't think I can think of a single add-on combo that you could run on Dredge that would like make me afraid of him. Like, I'm sorry, if I load into like any like standard map that isn't Midwich and I see it's a Dredge, I'm just like, yay, free win. You know what I mean? Or like, or free win if I'm with a group of players who I know is good. I guess if I'm playing with, you know, randoms, then who knows? Like they all might die. But I literally have never felt significantly threatened by Dredge ever, other than Midwich. Like, this killer is just not good, bro. I guess I should explain why. I'm kind of just thrashing without explaining. Like, his power is basically teleporting to lockers, right? Like, he has good mobility, for the record. His mobility is great. Like, he can teleport across the map to lockers, which is really good. Like, one of the best mobility powers in the game. The problem is it doesn't really matter how mobile you are. If you can't kill people, then you're a bad killer, right? So, like, outside of just being like normal 4.6 chase, he has like this remnant he could put down. It's like this little like shade that he could put down, and he goes really slow while he's holding it. And at any point, he can teleport back to that remnant and then like swing at you, right? So like the idea behind an anti-loop with him is like you put a remnant down and then you start to like slowly chase a survivor and you want to chase them back into your remnant, right? The problem is that he's slow as balls while holding the remnant. He's like 3.8 or something, or is he even 3.8? He might be 3.68. I don't know. He's definitely slower than survivors. Like a survivor run speed is 4.0, and he's definitely slower than that. He's like 3.8 or 3.6 or something. And basically, anytime you try to do this, the survivors can pretty obviously just walk away from the tile, right? Like, the only time you're actually able to use this power in a way that's fruitful against good players is if they're zoned like completely edge map in like the corner, or if you're on a map like Midwich where like the rooms are all like very isolated, right? Like, you need to have basically a super isolated like powder window. It's like the only time that you can actually use it. If it's not like super isolated, then they could just walk away and go to another tile, and then you have to follow them and then do the same thing and rinse and repeat. Like, it's so hard to actually get damage on people that are good because they just will walk away from you. You know what I mean? It's wild. And also, even then, even when you're in those scenarios where like they're in an isolated tile, right? Like, I don't know if you guys have ever watched like high level competitive games or whatever, where like he gets played on Midwich. Like, Midwich is a map where he is able to create like scenarios on like almost every pound on that map. He's able to create like these really, really beneficial, like, it's like the best version of his power possible. And even in those scenarios, sometimes even really good killers can like lose a 50, unfortunately, and still get juked and like not get the hit, right? Like, it's still possible to not get the damage. So, like, that's what I'm saying. Even in his absolute best scenario, it's still not even like 100% of a hit. It's like just a high chance. And even finding those scenarios is so rare. He's just not good, bro. He's just not good. I don't know. This killer's just not good. I can talk about it all day. I feel like I've been thrashing him this whole time. The poor guy. For the record, I think all he would need is like a buff to his movement speed while holding a remnant, and I think he would immediately become like a C or a B tier killer. For the record, like, I don't think he's like far off from it. I just think the current values that his kit has, he's bad, bro. This killer is really bad. This killer is like the least threatening killer to ever exist, dude. I don't know. He's not scary at all if you remotely know what you're doing on Survivor. So, yeah. I mean, he's at least better than Hag, though. So, like, there's at least that. All right. Wesker is... I don't really know what to do with Wesker either, man. Wesker's one of those killers that it's hard to tier. I do feel like Wesker can... Like, I think Wesker is capable of popping off. He's just very punishing, I think, is his problem, right? It's like you either pop off or you fall behind. I feel like he kind of reminds you of Pinhead, kind of, where I feel like you can pop off and get to a spot where it's like you're ahead and it feels hard to like do much like about it. But like if you like just don't hit your dashes or your shots or, you know, whatever for the respective killer, then you fall behind to the point like where once you fall behind, I feel like it's so hard to come back from being behind, right? So like that's hard. I think the more I'm looking at Slinger, the more, because okay, just to give you guys a little bit insight of what I'm doing is like when I think about where I'm going to place them, I think about where they're going to go. Like, I was thinking either high B or low A. And then I look at the killers there, and I'm like, how do they compare to that killer? And when I looked at Slinger just now, I don't even know if Slinger, like, actually belongs in A tier. Like, he might need to switch too, to be honest with you. Like, the more I'm looking at it. But does Wesker belong up here? Above Slinger? I'm trying to think, like across all maps, I feel like he has maybe more of a chance than Slinger, right? If I'm thinking about like what's your chance of getting a good result, I think more of a chance than Slinger. At least a little bit. Yeah, I think a little bit. Yeah, I think at least a little bit. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I think at least a little bit. I think I'm going to put him there for now. I might move a lot of people towards the end, okay? I'm putting him here for now. I mean, he's got like his double dashes where like, okay, I think Wesker's the kind of killer where like, I would argue like 80% of the fillers that exist, you can try to outplay them. Like even if the survivor like pre-throws the pallet, they're like, there we go, pallet's already down, haha. Like you can still try to outplay like 80% of them and it will sometimes work. It's just like, again, the chance of it actually working is like very different, right? Like some tiles it's like you have a very high chance of it working. Some tiles it's like it might work, but not super high chance. And again, the thing with Wesker is that once you use both dashes, like if you send a double dash and it doesn't work, not only are you kind of like unzoning that survivor and like letting them do whatever they want, you're also putting your power on like a pretty long cooldown where like it's like very punishing to miss. But I do think like really good Wespers, by the way, really good Weskers who like know when to go for power, when not to, when to zone, when not to zone. I do think he, again, I'm looking at like the killers in B tier, and I don't feel like I can in my right mind put him with these killers. Like I don't, right? No. I feel like I gotta put him a little higher than that. I'm gonna keep him here for now. I might move him, but I think he's better than the killers in B tier. Like I'm pretty confident in that. I feel like he has more of a chance to make something happen than these killers for sure. But not by like a crazy amount. He doesn't have any like absurd add-ons that make him like insane either, by the way. So that's like, I don't know. Like, he has some okay ones, but nothing like absurd. I think that's fine. Knight, I think, is like the king of C tier. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think he's like the most guaranteed C killer I've ever seen. This killer is like, dude, I swear this is one of those killers where I see people share, like, I see the same take about this killer, and it drives me insane, but I hear people say it all the time, and oh, God, it pains me every time. People always talk about Knight being this high-tier killer because they're like, well, you see, Tofu, you can put your guard on a player, and then that player will be chased, and then you can chase another player, and then two people are being chased at the same time, Tofu, and I'm like, I don't care. That doesn't mean anything. Two survivors being chased at the same time doesn't mean shit when both those chases suck ass. Like, a guard should never be able to get a hit on a survivor completely for free. Like, that should never happen. And like, unless they, like, fuck up really badly. And also, the Knight just chasing someone solo is just pure 4.6. Like, there's no chase power. Like, again, if you're playing against, like, little baby Meg Thomas who, you know, just got home from their 12-hour shift, who, you know, plays the game once a week, you know, for like 1 hour, then yeah, sure, maybe putting a guard on them and their teammate might both get you hits. But like against people that are good, that shit doesn't do anything. It does nothing. Like, I mean, I guess all it does is it stalls them a little bit while you break a couple pallets, I guess, but that's all. Like, realistically speaking, against good players, you kind of have to do the like, put a guard on a player and then pincer attack the player with the guard, right? Like go the opposite direction of the guard and then kind of pincer attack them so they either get hit by the guard or you, and then they take the hit, they use their distance as much as they can, and then you rinse and repeat and do the same thing, right? And like, in a way, it is like it's basically a guaranteed down, right? Like a Knight player does get guaranteed downs pretty much. Like there's almost no way. There is like little things you could do to help, but there's very, very few things you could do on the survivor side to like avoid dying. Like you're gonna die. But it's kind of like Doctor in that way where like, even if you get near guaranteed hits, it takes so long, dude. Like, you send out the guard. While you're sending out the guard, they start holding W away. The guard gets them. The guard's following behind them. They're still holding W away. You have to take a different angle as the guard and try to cut them off. Sometimes the guard will like run out if they actually have a whole map of distance to run. If the guard does run out, you send another one and try to zone them more. Or if it doesn't run out, you like pincer attack them, hit them, they take more distance, you follow after them some more, put another guard. It's like the whole process just takes so long that like by the time you get the down, like you've already lost so much gen progress, and then like at that point, what? Like you just can't really do much, you know what I mean? Sure, like once someone's on a hook, he can definitely be kind of annoying once someone's on a hook in terms of like sending guards to gens. And like there is a little bit of a slowdown there, right? Like he can like sort of like patrol the hook while sending guards to gens and like, you know, slow down progress a little bit. But even that doesn't really do a lot other than just slow down gens a little bit. And as long as survivors still handle the unhook scenario correctly, you're just still going to lose. Like, I feel like Knight against really good players should be like, in my opinion, guaranteed like maximum like maybe if the survivors fuck up like 2 kills, like 6 stages and 2 kills exactly. And that's like if the killer is playing for like ton allows him to kill people. And if not, probably like, you know, 4 or 5 stages like maximum. Like there should be like literally like 0 4K potential unless the survivors fuck up really, really badly. But I mean, that being said, I do think the knight is very, very consistent at getting that. Like for instance, I would argue killers like Doctor could get good results, but Doctor might have games where he gets like literally like 2 stages, right? I feel like Knight should never really have a game where he gets like nothing but 2 stages, right? Like he should be able to consistently get like 5-ish. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's hard to put him like below these other killers who might get completely destroyed. But like he's not going to be any above him either because he just doesn't really have any potential to do anything big against good players. You know what I mean? The good players should just be able to win always. Other than certain maps. For the record, there are also certain maps like Gideon Meat Plant is weirdly an insanely good map for Knight. I think Knight's maybe one of the only killers where like Gideon Meat Plant turns him into like super god for some reason. I don't know why. He's insane on that map because he can like cut people off so easily and like there's so many like different ways for him to route that it makes it. He's like actually super deadly there. But other than that, other than like very specific maps that he's good on, this killer just does nothing, bro. He's not good. I'm sorry. Like C tier maximum, like anything higher than C tier, and I think you are out of your goddamn mind. Honestly, even him being high C tier, like I don't even know if I should put him above Myers. I feel like and Demo, like I'm not even putting him at the top. Actually, I'm putting him in the mid. I'm putting him like right there with Onryo. I think it's probably fine. Like I don't think he's even better than those guys. Like I think these guys at least have a chance to do something. This motherfucker just no. I'm sorry. Like there ain't no way. Anyway, continuing. Skull Merchant. I'll be real. This one, I actually have no idea how to judge this because who the fuck plays Skull Merchant anymore? Like, are the 5 Skull Merchant players still playing? I thought them updating this killer made them mad. Like, I thought they updated it and then like the 5 players all got mad and quit. I don't know. Like, is Pixel Bush still around? Maybe. I feel like this killer seems, based off what I know about her, she seems like kind of similar to before, right? Where she's kind of just like an M1 killer with some extra steps. Like, occasionally applies hindered, can like trap up certain like loops or whatever. I don't see how this killer can be any higher than C tier in my brain. Like, I don't think she's quite like, I remember before the changes, she was like dog shit, doo-doo, terrible tier. I don't think she's there anymore because I know she has like a lot more power. Like she actually gives like an actual like significant hindered now. She has like little things in her kit that make her better, but I definitely don't think she's like so she's not like down here, but I don't think she's actually like good. I feel like I would put her like, does she have any add-ons that are insane? I don't think so, right? She has like you start out with traps in, but they like die quickly. Like she kind of has like built-in lethal, which is kind of nice. But I don't think she has anything insane in terms of add-ons either. So yeah, like I can't even give her like, for instance, like I can't even give her or like any like perk combos that make her insane. I don't think so. I think I gotta put her like here, like a Bubba. Like I think Bubba is the character where I'm like, is she better or worse than? I mean, I think she at least has like indoor map power, right? She does have that like stealth aspect where like if you go against a Skull Merchant on like Larry's or like God forbid like Midwich, you know what I mean? That shit can be terrifying. I think at least for that, I'll put her a little bit above Bubba, but not by much. She is still basically M1 with like a little bit of hinder, like not really much else going. She's still definitely one of the lower killers in the game, but it's not as useless. I think that's fine. Again, if you want to move her up or down a little bit in your own list, or you want to argue with me about it, that's fine. I'm not going to argue too much. It's all good. Singularity is, I think the problem with Singu is that he gets drastically better or worse depending on the map he gets put on. You know what I mean? Like, I think Singu on like good outdoor maps, like on Dead Dog Saloon or, you know, even just like any random like Auto Haven map, he's quite good. I think you put Singu on like Larry's and I just want to die. Every time I queue up as Singu and I get like Larry's or Hawkins or something like that, I literally just want to die. I'm just like, why am I here? Like, please. Like, I don't rage quit in DbD very often or ever. Like maybe once in a very, very rare blue moon. But every time I load up as an indoor map on this killer, I consider it. I consider it every time. I'm like, do I want to spend 15 minutes playing this killer on a goddamn indoor map? It's rough. That being said, even on indoor maps, he's not useless. He just loses a lot of his potential power to like hold areas because you can't like okay, one of the things that makes Singu potentially so insane is that like, especially if you're really good at him, like if you guys have never seen like really high level like Singularities play, especially like in comp and stuff, like you can like set up pods on gens where there's like like 2 or 3 different pods that are all really far away from each other that all are able to see the gen. So like if you want to do that gen safely without dealing with pods, you have to like EMP multiple different areas, right? You can't just bring one and be good. Like on indoor maps, you can't really do that. Like on Larry's, one EMP will cover every single gen no matter what. Like there's no way to set up multiple pods for the same gen, which like hurts his like area control a lot. Like a lot. But I do feel like if you're playing a map where he does have like good area control like that, he can be a menace in terms of like controlling areas. He also obviously just like eats pallets like crazy. He does require a lot of like coordination and like attacking the right parts of the map at the right times in order to actually like beat him. Also, I think like having good M1 chase movement with him is really important too. Singu is one of those killers where I feel like you almost never see this killer played to his potential. Like I can, with relative confidence, say that I don't think I've ever come up against a wait, did I say Slinger just now? Singu. I don't think I've ever come up against a Singu in public matches that I felt like was even like remotely close to being near his skill ceiling. Like, or like even like towards like the upper realistic expectation, right? Of like how good people can get with him like in like comp levels and stuff. Like most Singus I run into are quite frankly terrible. And I've run into some that are like decent, but even the ones that are decent are like not great. Like I think Singu in the hands of a really good player is nuts on most maps, other than indoor maps, to the point where like, again, like this is kind of an extreme example, but like I'm pretty sure I remember seeing a VOD one time. This was like years ago, where like Nightlight played Singularity against Team Elysium, which was like the number 1 and number 2 team at the time. And it was in a tournament where they had no restrictions. It was a 0 restriction tournament. So I think all the survivors had like syringes or BMPs and like stacked ass perks. And like normally under restrictions like that, it's like you expect every killer to just get like shit stomped. I mean, it was DDS. It was his best map. But the gamer had like Call of Brian Oppression as his perks. And he like 4K'd one of the best teams. It was crazy. It was crazy to see. And like the game was like mesmerizing. I mean, he played him to like an absurdly high level. And like I know that's like a very extreme example because like Nightlight is like a very gifted gamer. He's very good. But I think it goes to show like how good this killer can be. And again, that's with everybody being good, right? You put like a killer like that against like a survivors that are even like a little bit uncoordinated, I think this killer pops off. I think I got to put this killer above Clown, right? Oh, but the map dependency. Oh, the map dependency, bro. I think that's a big thing that makes Clown so good for me is like there's no bad maps for Clown, dude, right? Like other than like kind of Gideon Meat Plant. I think Gideon Meat Plant's like the only one, right? What map is bad for Clown? Like nothing. Oh, man, I don't know. The problem is that Singu really only has like 5 bad maps. You know what I mean? Maybe more. Maybe like Batum and stuff too. Dude, Clown's going to be high up on my tier list. I'm sorry. You guys just have to deal with it. He's just high up on the tier list. I'm putting a Singularity there. He's below Clown because of the map dependency. I'm sorry. It just is what it is, bro. It is what it is. I can't get around it. I'm trying to convince myself otherwise, but I can't. I can't convince myself otherwise. Clown's just really insane, dude. All right. Xenomorph. What the hell am I doing with Xenomorph? Xenomorph is weird. He's like, it is very snowbally, right? Like, I think definitely very deadly when you're in tail form, especially with like good builds, right? Like good add-ons and all that cheese you could do with like Windows. Not like guaranteed deaths. Also, this killer is definitely one of those killers where like if you get ahead of Xeno, I think you can kind of like snowball your lead and play really well. But like if you fall behind in the survivor, especially if survivors like setting up double turrets and stuff, like you're just like you just get bullied. Like you can't fall behind on this killer against good players without suddenly it becoming a bully the Xeno. Like, haha, let's run to the double turrets and teabag and, you know, laugh while you get broken out. You know what I mean? Like, it can turn into a bully fest real fast, like if you fall behind. But I do think Xeno is deadlier than a lot of people give him credit for. And I think if people play this killer really well, I think you can reliably do okay or at least get kind of ahead to the point where I don't think... I feel like this killer reminds me of Pyramid Head and how their chase is played. But I feel like there's like less like slow down and risk involved. But then there's also the turrets. I feel like this killer's one of those ones where I think it's so hard for me to like judge exactly where to put them because I feel like I've not seen like the most insane Xenomorph players ever in the world or whatever. I feel like I have to put him like I think Nemesis is the killer I'm looking at where I'm like, you're around this level somewhere, right? I think above Nemi is fine. I think that's fine. It's somewhere around there, man. I don't know. That's a hard one. I don't feel super confident in that placement in terms of like the exact placement. I feel confident in like the rough placement, but not the exact one. That was a little bit tough. Chucky's up next. I think Chucky's a bit underrated. Chucky, again, falls into the same archetype of Nurse and Spirit and Deathslinger and Trickster and so on and so forth. It's the slow but really deadly killer. I mean, his little like pizzazz is that he also has stealth. Wow, yippee. So still, same thing. You're very slow. You're not super mobile, but you're like very, very deadly, right? Like his ability to like first off just be tiny. It can sometimes be hard to track him when he's like, you know, mind gaming. But also like his dash is incredibly strong, right? His dash is really, really good, and it's on like a pretty low cooldown too. So I feel like he definitely can like create hits and downs pretty quickly, even against good players, but not always. It's not like it's nowhere near the consistency level of like Spirit, for instance, right? Spirit can do it way more consistent than Chucky. But I definitely think he does it more consistent than Slinger. At least. And he also has that stealth aspect too. To the point where like he's definitely above Slinger. For sure. But where above Slinger? Above Wesker? Definitely above Wesker. Above Freddy? Yeah, above Freddy. Above Artist. Wait, his add-ons. He doesn't have any insane add-ons. Like, I keep remembering Plague's only up here because of her insane add-ons. I think I'm gonna put him above Artist too, even. I think he has potential. I think he's like up here. I think this is where I put Chucky. I think he's pretty solid. Like, I think he's actually much more solid than I think a lot of people give him credit for. Again, I don't think you can like consistently do huge things, but I think he absolutely can do big things. And like, it's definitely like, yeah, like I think he can probably do it better than a lot of these gamers. And I think I'm slowly realizing that I think I do maybe need another tier for a lot of these people, but we'll see. I'm just gonna keep it moving. Like, honestly, solid killer. Like, slow but really deadly. Very similar to the. I mean, look back at what I said about Spirit and Nurse and everyone else, and the same thing all applies to Chucky, right? Deadly, but he's not like 100-0 deadly. He's probably more like the 70-30 type deadly. Solid though, very, very solid. Unknown is also, bro. This like, I feel like we talked about Xenomorph being feast or famine. This killer is like feast or famine, the killer. Like, I feel like if you somehow get ahead, he can kind of start to get pretty crazy and feel kind of nuts. But realistically, getting ahead should be like really, really hard when the survivors are good. I think this killer is weird because I think a lot of people like, I know like there was kind of a meme going around where they call him the harmless. Apparently he had like the lowest kill rate of like any killer in like all of like the last like DbD League season or something like that, or like he got like the lowest stages or something. Like he was like not doing too well or whatever. For the record, though, I do think a lot of that came from the fact that I think they had him on a map that was like pretty hard for him. Like they, again, like not to get into comp too much during this tier list, but they had him on Wrecker's Yard. I think they moved him to like Ormond Lake Mine since, where I think he's been performing a little bit better. I do think and also for the record, I think he has a lot of good maps too. Like I think Unknown on like indoor maps, like on a map like Hawkins or something, can be quite deadly. Like it's a lot harder to like juke in a lot of maps like that, to the point where his power becomes a lot more reliant. But yeah, like, just to explain his thing, is like you infect someone with your projectile that is like kind of hard to land, and once you infect them, you have to like not let them see you. Every time they look at you, they like break out of it a little bit, and you have to try to like follow up before they break out of it. But if you miss even one more shot, it's like really hard to keep them from breaking out. And the second they break out, it's like you lose all progress. It's so tough, bro. It's so tough. Like he's very like, if you're landing a lot of shots back to back, then you're like getting downs. You have all these teleports up that they don't really have time to get rid of because of the fact that you're getting down so quick. And then like you can kind of snowball really quickly. Whereas if you're not getting downs quickly, then like they have all the time in the world to deal with like your potential teleports. They can get rid of them. Also the chases just go forever. Like it's just, he's like the most feast or famine killer in this entire game. And it makes it really hard to judge him. But I don't think in my right mind I could put him like super low tier. Like I don't think I can in my right consciousness put him like down here with like Ghostface and Doctor and stuff. Like I feel like to me he has to go like at least, I like Huntress is where I start to go like, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like Huntress Wraith is where I start to go like less than Wraith, more than Huntress. It's just so hard to say because again, like sometimes he can do really well, but then sometimes he just does nothing, you know what I mean? I'm just gonna plop him here. I don't know. It's so hard to judge this character, though. I don't know, man. Vecna. Ooh, okay. To be fair, okay. Wait. Vecna. Normally, I put Vecna in like high C tier because I think this killer is also very overrated. I think people overrate this killer a lot. I don't think this killer is actually as good as most people say, except when you have that goddamn bullshit ass low skulls add-on, which is insane. Like, if you run low skulls and you just know the distance of spawn, you just plop that shit on people's faces, and what the hell do they do? Like, you literally get guaranteed damage every single time that ability comes on cooldown. It's disgusting. And also, his other Eerie is pretty insane too. Yeah, like Verbal Sword with like the mage hand on pallets is also kind of insane. Like, his Eerie's can basically give him what is essentially guaranteed damage, which is disgusting. I think this killer's add-ons boost him up a lot. So I said this with other killers, right? Like, I think Plague is a little bit boosted from her add-ons. Legion is very boosted from his add-ons. There are certain killers that I think on this list that are boosted way higher than they otherwise would be because of how good their add-ons are. Lich is definitely going to be one of them. I think if we took away his Eerie add-ons and we just played based off everything else, I think I'd put him like high C tier. But I think with his Eerie add-ons, I unironically think this killer is I have to think about how deadly is this killer. He has really good mobility with Fly on a pretty short cooldown. The skulls are, again, literally like a guaranteed hit. No, am I crazy? How do you avoid skulls from a Vecna that knows what they're doing and just spawns them on your face? Like, I feel like it's just a guaranteed hit. Like, you have to just try to like path in a way that's like stupid to avoid them, I guess. Like, you just get hit for free. And he's also pretty mobile. He gets good info. Like, dude, literally with his best add-ons, A tier? Yeah, he has to be, right? Right? Like, dude, this killer with best add-ons is fucking stupid, I think. I think I put him above Freddy. I think, again, this is specifically with his best add-ons. Like, we're talking just his best add-ons. I guess I'll explain. I think if I don't explain this, then I think that his whole section just becomes me saying this and then me moving on. So I'm going to take a second to say that if you're not running low skulls, and also, or maybe Vorpal Sword, the one where the mage hand breaks the pallet or whatever, then all of his spells have like some counterplay. I know that Lich Mans will be like, but Tofu, what about Spansling? What about Spansling? At the end of the day, still, none of that's like a guarantee, right? Like, there is a lot of little mind games you can do that make it more likely for you to hit your stuff with them, but you can't really guarantee it, right? Like, a lot of times you can kind of predict when the killer's going to put up skulls, and you can just crouch them. Like, you can even pre-crouch them, right? Like, you can predict they're going to do it and like pre-crouch as they're setting them up. It's usually pretty obvious, and you can even hear it. There's like a sound like cue that happens. You know what I mean? The one thing that makes skulls really good that you can't really counterplay is if you send them towards a pallet or a window, like a thrown pallet, I should say, specifically a thrown pallet or a window, right as the survivors about to vault them, then they can't really vault it without getting hit by the skulls. So they have to like crouch the skulls, and then you can M1 them. Like, you can kind of create free damage sometimes, but it's very specific and it's like timing heavy. And other than that, everything else has like pretty good counterplay. Like Mage Hand, depending on what the pallet is, there's a lot of ways you can play around it if you know Mage Hand is up. It's not like a guaranteed hit by any means. Survivors can play around it a lot. Like, realistically speaking, and also at any point, if you dump your spells, like if you dump Mage Hand and skulls and you don't get the down, then you're kind of like just basic 4.6 killer until your spells come back up, right? Fly at windows can be kind of good, right? Like, you can play like a little mind game at windows, but at pallets, Fly is pretty useless. And even at Windows, I think it's kind of bad. Didn't they nerf it a while back? I think it got worse at Windows semi-recently too, but it's still like somewhat playable. So again, without the ultra rares, I'm pretty confident this killer's like high C tier. Like, I would put him here if we weren't counting his ultra rare add-ons, okay? But like specifically because we're counting his Eerie add-ons, his Eerie add-ons are so good, bro. They're so good that I think I'm gonna plop him there. Maybe even here. Maybe even here. No? Am I dumb? Like, maybe even here. Yeah? Dude, like, what do you do again? No, yeah, here. I'm putting him there. Like, this motherfucker just kills you with his Eerie add-ons, I'm pretty sure. Like, what the hell are you supposed to do against it, dude? There ain't no way. Yeah, he's going up there. I don't even care. I think with Eerie add-ons in mind, sure. Yeah. Dracula, I think, is, like, he's above Spirit. He's one of the best killers of the game. He's like a top 5 killer. I don't know exactly where to put him in the top 5, but he's somewhere up here. I think he's, like, just below S. I remember I talked about this the other day, so I think I'll try to explain it more. But Dracula is like one of the most for the record, I love this killer. I think he's like one of the best design killers behaviors ever made. He's super interesting. He's got like his 3 forms that are all super unique and very powerful in their own way, right? Bat form, that's kind of like a little mini spirit, but he has to come out of it to get damage. But it's like super mobile, can teleport. His vampire form has like a kind of Pyramid Head-esque like projectile that goes like over pallets and windows. That's a little bit less punishing than Pyramid Heads. But it also has like a really fast recovery, right? Like, you can 2-tap people really quickly if you do land it. And then most importantly, his wolf form, which is probably his strongest form, is insane. Like your 4.6 with a third person, like over the shoulder camera. So you can kind of like peek around corners and you can like even like over walls and stuff. And also your 4.6 and they drop these little orbs that give you haste. So you're almost like permanently 4.8. Like it's crazy. Like you're so fast and you have a double dash that's really, really, really strong too. Like good Draculas that know how to utilize wolf form are so like, it's so hard to stay alive against. So hard. That being said, Dracula, again, like a lot of other killers we named, again, I think the only killer that's like this is Nurse, but his things are not 100-0. Like you're not guaranteeing hits. Like you could whiff your Hellfire even if you're using it for zoning. Like they could like do some weird juke last minute and you could miss. The wolf form, like the wolf form is more reliant. There's definitely certain areas where like the wolf form is almost guaranteed, but even then there's obviously like the user error of you could whiff. But like the wolf form is probably the most reliable, and even that's not like 100% guaranteed always. It just depends on the tile. But yeah, very consistent damage, really good mobility. Like Dracula fucks, bro. Dracula can absolutely like beat anyone at any point, especially if you're like winning some of like the tough 50s with like Hellfires. Like he can snowball like crazy and do insane things. He is a very well-designed killer and very, very strong. I really do love this killer a lot. Like, yeah, I kind of have a soft spot for him in terms of just, like, game design-wise. Like, I just think he's really, really well done. Like, for the record, I think in, like, a perfect world, like, if there's some utopian society where we can pretend killers didn't exist, if we could, like, delete killers and have, like, an example of, like, what the strongest killer should be, an example of what the weakest killer should be, I think Dracula is, like, a perfect example of what the strongest killer should look like in DbD, I think, in my opinion. Like, he is very solid. I like this killer a lot. Very, very strong. Definitely top 5. Like super deadly. Hard to do anything against him, man. Good Draculas will shit on you. There's not really much more to say about it, honestly. Also, his add-ons are not like insane for the record. So like, his add-ons don't really boost him up or down in any significant way. So he's just kind of the same no matter what. Houndmaster is man. Houndmaster is another one where if you guys have watched previous tier lists I've made, you're probably like, Tofu, what the hell is going on with you and Houndmaster? Why are you so like all over the place? I remember I used to put Houndmaster kind of low, and then I saw a bunch of very reliable sources tell me that she was like actually like a top 5, top 6, top 7 killer. And it's from people who I usually trusted, so I was like, sure, you're probably onto something. And then they kind of explained why, and I played her in pubs a little bit, and I was like, oh, I see it now. But then even then, the more I've played her, the more I've learned her. I think she's one of those killers where like if things go your way, she can sometimes feel like she's like this strong, right? If things kind of go your way. But I feel like she also creates a lot of these like, again, like I don't want to call them 50-50s because people keep every time I call it a 50-50, people are like, Tofu, is that technically a 50-50? But you know, it's like a 70-30 or something in her favor, right? You can create a lot of like 70-30 or even like 80-20 situations where you're like pretty likely to get the hit. But even then, the survivors can still juke those, and when they do juke those, it like costs you a lot. And if you like lose a couple of those back to back, you can start to fall behind. And then once you fall behind, it's really hard to like make a comeback in any way. Like Search is okay, but even Search is like super clunky in terms of how it's used. It's good for getting around the map. Using it in Chase is kind of hard, and the survivors are usually able to avoid it and still like play around it if they know what they're doing and play safe. I just think this killer's too unreliable. Like I know they sometimes feel insane, but I think they're way too unreliable to like consistently feel that way. And also they get fucked over by maps pretty hard too. That's a whole other thing. Like there's a lot of maps that make this killer complete dog shit. So dog shit, get it? Because she has a dog with her. I'm gonna put her top of B tier. I'm gonna put her top of B tier. I might get some hate for that, not even putting her in A tier. I feel like she's way too like risk heavy. Like I feel like there's way too much like she's way too inconsistent that I don't think I could ever justify her putting her in A tier, in my opinion. And again, I still think Slinger probably needs to come down too, but we'll deal with that later. Kaneki. This might be my hot take. Maybe not a hot take. Who knows? I think Kaneki, especially now that they updated him, and if you guys don't know, they updated Kaneki. They made his Scamper basically useless, which is like, thank fuck, because you could just revault easily. Thank fuck. Goodbye, vault. Thank you, world. But they also took away his auto-aim, which is funny because I know for a lot of people, the auto-aim is like what people hate about Kaneki, because they're like, oh my god, it's impossible to avoid the bite, which, you know, sure, I guess that's true. But for good Kaneki players, the auto-aim was literally just a hindrance. Like, it literally made him weaker because you couldn't really do like any like fun, crazy cutoff stuff, or if you tried it, you could maybe, but it was really hard because you would sometimes just accidentally bite people because of the auto-aim being so intense. And now that that's gone, and you don't really even need to like bite someone to get like crazy stuff on them or like to make it easier, I think this killer is insane. And I think in the hands of like really good Kanekis, like, again, I have a personal opinion that this killer's actual true potential is still not unlocked. I think the closest I've seen to this killer's potential being unlocked is like, I've watched some like comp games from like Nightlight where like, not to like overly gassed Nightlight, but that motherfucker, that gamer is just juiced on the killers he plays. I don't know. He's nuts. Like, I've seen him do some shit where I'm like, this is pretty close to like the ceiling I think this killer has. You know what I mean? Fuck, if I remember, I'll even include a clip in the video that I upload of an exact thing I was talking about that I think is a good example of some of the crazy shit that this killer can do. And if you guys want to see it live, I could show you after or something maybe. But this killer's nuts, and I think as people unlock his potential more and more, again, if we're talking about like a very good killer main playing the killer like near their ceiling, I think this killer is... Okay, the thing that I think that keeps him out of S tier is that I think he's a little bit map dependent. I think he's number 4. I think he's above Dracula. People might hate me for that one. I might get a lot of slack for that. I think he's above Dracula. Maybe. Maybe. I think if he's not number 4, I think he's number 5. That's what it is. Like, Dracula maybe is better and more consistent, but I'm telling you, I think Ghoul, I think people just have not unlocked his like full potential yet. I think when people unlock like his full potential, and once you see people playing him, like, I think it's gonna take a while. Like, if you guys remember when Blight came out, people sucked ass at that killer for a while. Like, I remember like a year or two after he came out is when I started like watching comp, and even then people still didn't have him fully figured out yet, right? They were still kind of like figuring out exactly how to like optimize his power and everything. And I think Kaneki is has even a higher ceiling than Blight. I think there's a lot of potential for him to like, I think as people unlock his potential more, he could even look like an actual S tier killer. But for now, I think he's still just high A. But I think this killer is definitely nuts. Again, I think a not super great Kaneki, even like just a pretty good Kaneki, but not like amazing. I think, maybe like here. You know what I mean? But I think once you get to like actual like goated Kanekis, I think this motherfucker is genuinely top 4. Like, I think he's the number 4 killer in the game. I think he's nuts. So yeah, I'm gonna put him there for now. And again, potentially could even be as high as S tier, depending on how far people push his ability. Maybe I should explain this one more, because I feel like I need to do more explanations. Most people hate Kaneki because he's like, he gets free damage, and then he just like slingshots on your back and kills you, or whatever, jumps on your back and kills you, blah, blah, blah. Good survivor play against him. Like, I promise you that good survivor play against like an average Kaneki player makes that killer look bad. Like, if you put just like an average Kaneki that doesn't really know what they're doing, and you put him against good survivor players, they'll just run him in circles and he'll look fucking useless. You know what I mean? Because realistically, he does have like some good counterplay options to him. It's just hard to know what they are. But then that like compounds on top of each other, because if you guys don't know what like velocity teching is and stuff, as well as like cutoffs, again, maybe I can include some things in terms of like what all this means. I mean, if you guys haven't seen, like, I made like a Kaneki guide on how to counterplay him and how to play against him. And you know what? Maybe I'll link that in the video, and you guys can check it in the Twitch chat if you're here watching live too. And like towards the end of that video, when we talk about the advanced stuff, it shows some of the crazy stuff that the killer can do. And I'm telling you, man, as people get more disciplined and get more like consistent at doing the high level like velocity techs and the crazy slingshots that you can do, it's just gonna get more and more gross, bro. Like, this killer's just gonna get more and more stupid. And I'm telling you, man, like my prediction is that in a year, this killer will be up here, unless he sees like super significant changes or something. If he doesn't get any kind of super significant changes, he'll be like up here, maybe even here in like a year. But I think for now, I think he's still here, in my opinion. Yeah, that's it. I'm moving on for that one. Springtrap is Springtrap has like the same problem that a lot of killers have. Like, he kind of has like the Pyramid Head problem, where he's very deadly, but he doesn't have a lot of snowball potential. Like, I don't think he can be deadly in a rapid fire succession, right? Like, for instance, he has a hatchet. It's very similar to Huntress. You know what I mean? Like, you can compare the two very obviously. He gets one hatchet instead of 7. He throws it. It goes on like a long cooldown. It either lands on the survivor, then he has to wait a little while to recall it, or it lands on the ground. He has to wait a little bit to recall it, and he goes 4.6 when he doesn't have it. His hatchet is way stronger than Huntress's, like way stronger. Like, realistically, a good Springtrap should be able to semi-reliably get damage with his hatchet, right? But the problem is like, even if you're semi-reliably getting damage with it, it then goes on like a long cooldown where you have to just chase around 4.6 and you're kind of useless, and then you get your hatchet back, and then you gotta try to get damage again. And I think it just happens too slow that I don't think you could realistically snowball. Like, I do think this killer can kind of like 2-tap people, even really, really good players. But even if you 2-tap somebody, unless you're 2-tapping everyone throughout the whole game from start to finish, you just can't snowball, right? Because they're just able to recover because it's still too slow. Like, even the 2 taps you get are like 30, 40-second 2 taps. And then with your like bad mobility on top, I mean, I know you have like the door teleports, but like your bad mobility doesn't make it that good. And even his stealth is not that great because he's a giant goddamn robotic fucking animatronic that goes clunk, clunk, clunk as he walks around. So even his stealth really isn't that crazy that he gets from the doors. Like, it's okay, but it's nothing really crazy. The mobility isn't that strong in terms of mobility either. It takes a long time to go to the doors and teleport. Like, he just doesn't really, like, he does everything at, like, a mid-level, I feel like. He's just, like, the most mid-killer ever to me, which is why I'm putting him in the middle of this tier list, right in the dead center of this tier list, because this motherfucker is mid as shit. Okay, Krasue. This killer, bro, talk about a killer that fell off, bro. Holy shit. This killer saw so much play when she first came out, and, like, she released OP as fuck, bro. Like, I'll be real with you. When this killer released, on PTB and release, I still will never stop referencing the Krasue PTB where gamers said she was C tier. I will never get over that. There will never, 10 years from now, I will be referencing the Krasue PTB. Mark my words. I will never let that go. But let me break down what happened here, right? When Krasue was in PTB and for her release, back when she was super OP, she basically has like a human form and a head form. And she's in her human form, she like hits you with a projectile. She can also bounce it off walls and it auto aims onto you. And once you're infected, she goes into head form where she's literally 4.8. So she's like permanently faster than every other killer in the game in terms of movement speed, and is third person camera, and has like a fast activatable dash that can do damage to you once you're infected, right? It's really, really strong. And especially before she got nerfed. Before she got nerfed, the dash would activate really quickly, like instantly. Like, it's actually one of the nerfs that hurt her the most. It was that, which I'll talk about in a minute. Her big downsides were, like, I feel like even back before she got nerfed, the big counterplay option to her was basically like having like a buddy system type thing where essentially a non-infected survivor would wait for her to go into head form, and then he would jump in to chase and like body block the person that was infected. Because if you hit someone that's not infected with your head form, it doesn't actually do damage. It just gives them like a tiny amount of infection, and you have to keep doing it over and over again to actually get them infected. So there's like this like teamwork aspect to like counterplaying her that was really interesting. But honestly, even that aspect before the nerfs was like so hard to do, and even when done correctly, I think she was still like a top 5 killer. Like, it was so like, it was like hard to pull off and also could very easily go wrong, and then she would just shit on everybody. Ever since her changes though, like they nerfed her and they made her like, oh, I forgot to mention, she also can vault pallets and windows in head form. Like, she just ignores them and just vaults them, right? And she used to do that faster. But they nerfed her by making her vault things slower, which hurt her a lot. And they also made it so that when you go to use your dash ability, you have like this activation time that's like long now. Instead of it being like insta dash, it's like your like chest like glow, your chest. It's like your intestines. I don't know. Your little organs you have glow red, and then you dash. Like, for instance, you could literally just camp a pallet against this killer as survivor, and just wait until you see the organs glow, and then throw the pallet. And it works like more often than not, unless they do some like real bizarre sneaky shit. So like, basically after they nerfed her, there's a little bit more survivability on the survivor side. Like, before the nerf, you could not survive against her solo at all. Like, if you tried to have a solo chase against her without teammates body blocking, you just died in like 30 seconds, like no matter what. Like, it was almost impossible to do. Now it's like you can still hold a chase solo, which is wild considering the fact that if the survivors also play together as a team, you get hurt even more. To the point where, like, again, I do survivor win streaks with like some pretty good gamers, and we usually just shut down Krasue's really, really hard. Like, there's still a threat for sure. Like, if you fuck up a little too much, they definitely can do things and can threaten you in some way. But I think if we're making this list based off of like good survivors who are going to play around your power correctly, see, it's hard though, because I feel like this is the kind of counterplay, like, okay, like, again, we talked about this earlier with Hag. Hag's counterplay is, like, so easy that, like, you're not going to fuck it up. Like, if you're, like, a remotely good survivor, you're not going to fuck up Hag's counterplay. You know what I mean? Krasue's counterplay is, like, even good players could fuck it up. It's not like it's, like, so brainlessly easy to counterplay her. It's, like, they're, like, juggling, you know, jumping and chase for each other and body blocking and, you know, making sure the right people are mushrooming in, and you're, you know, splitting away when she goes back to body form and not getting hit by her infection. Like, all the stuff that goes into this, I think there's a lot more room for fuck up from the survivor side than like someone like Hag. But still, like, again, I'm thinking back to like my win streaks, and like even when we fucked up a little bit, we still were pretty reliably able to just make her useless. You know what I mean? Not useless, but like pretty useless. I feel like this one, okay, I'm not super confident in this because I feel like maybe I think the problem is that, like, who the fuck plays Krasue anymore? There's like 10 Krasue players in the world at this point. I think maybe a really insane Krasue could maybe make me change my mind. So for the record, this is something where, like, maybe in like a year I'll have a different opinion. But for now, I think I'm putting her at top of B tier. I don't think I could even justify putting her A tier because I don't think she should have any realistic, reliable chance to 4K if the survivors know what they're doing. Like, again, I think based on what my tiers are based on right now, I feel like she belongs in B tier. I'll put her high B tier, but definitely B tier. And that leaves us with the most recent killer, the first, which ironically is the last for me to put in a tier list. Ha 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 ha. Funny. I've been recording this video for fucking 2 hours, so I think I'm at the point where I can't laugh at puns anymore. This killer is also so hard to do. I don't know what to do with this guy. Like, he's literally like slot machine the killer. Like, it's like everything I said about Pyramid Head, where it's like, yeah, you're kind of like relying on these like RNG things. Like, this killer is literally like, you just follow people around and you go, random coin flip, random coin flip, random coin flip, random coin flip. And like, don't get me wrong, there are things you can do that make those coin flips like a little bit better, right? Like, I think there's clearly a difference between a good Henry and a bad Henry, right? Like, I think it's like there clearly is some skill to it. I'm not trying to say it's literally all luck and no skill at all, but even if you're the most skilled Henry player in the world, there's still no way to reliably guarantee the hit, right? Like, at best, you're still like creating like, 60-40s or something every time you use it. You know what I mean? And it's just so tough because even if you're the best Henry player in the world, if you just happen to get into a chase where you like miss like 7 shots back to back or something, suddenly you're fucked. Like, that takes so much time, and you probably fall so far behind that the game's probably over, right? So I feel like it's hard to like reliably, but also it's weird though, because if you have a game where you're just landing like 80% of your shots, then he probably feels like he's S tier, right? Like he sometimes feels like he's like literally top 5 when he's actually landing everything. There's no way to reliably land everything, right? Like, one bad chase is all it takes for you to fall behind, and then it's kind of hard to come back. He's definitely strong. Like, this killer is definitely strong. I feel like I can't, in my right mind, put him any lower than A tier. With best add-ons, too. Does he have any insane add-ons? Not really. Not really. I feel like... Above Twins, below Singu is where I'm putting him. Above Twins, below Singu, I think. Like, it's hard because I'm kind of basing it off of like how it average goes and also how it can go. Because again, I think it can sometimes feel like this. Sometimes it feels like this when he's like landing everything and you're like, what the fuck are we supposed to do against this guy? You know what I mean? And then sometimes if you miss like a bunch of shots back to back, or if the person you're playing against misses a bunch of shots back to back, you can feel like this, like actually unironically. Like, it's such a weird killer to judge. Because again, it's literally just so gambly. But I think based on how I'm about to establish these tiers, I think this makes sense. And okay, so this is the final tier list. I'm gonna make some adjustments real quick, okay? Because something that I realized that I need to do more, or something I realize I need to do, is I need to establish what every tier means, okay? And I think as I've done this tier list, I think I've come to a conclusion that I think I'm just gonna write an explanation, right? Like, I think it's basically like the chance of getting a 4K / good result. I'm not gonna say exactly 4K. I mean, we'll say like if you just like get like 2 kills with like 10 hooks or something, or like 9 hooks, I would still say that's not a 4K, but that's a really good result. Like, you did really well. You know what I mean? Maybe this is like reliance on survivor play is maybe what the actual tiers are about. You know? I don't know. We'll say like not super reliant on survivor mistakes. We'll say can create survivor mistakes often and wins with only a few. Can create mistakes but needs a lot to win. Mistakes are hard to make for serves, but with enough can still win. Sure. I don't know. How do I word this? Sure. Yes. I gotta condense this, bro. Not able to do much. Need big throws. And we can keep the your ass and you should always get fucked, idiot. Yeah. Perfect. There we go. This is the perfect tier list. There we go. Perfect tier list, bro. This is it. I think I've nailed it. This is perfection. Everyone, all hail. All hail the perfect tier list. The perfect tier list. This is objectively correct, okay? And nobody can argue this ever, all right?